All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to rumble for the NASCAR Xfinity Series live commentary stream as the running of the Wawa 250 at the Daytona International Speedway is about to be upon us. We're moments away from the drop of the green flag of this race. Currently, the national anthem is just getting underway. So we're probably less than 15 minutes from the start of the action here this evening. It is not the last race of the regular season for the Xfinity Series like it is for the Cup Series side of things tomorrow night, but still it's one of the last races, and we will see exactly who will go to victory lane, and maybe we'll have an outsider get the win, lock themselves into the playoffs, very similar to that of Jeb Burton and what he was able to do at Talladega earlier this season, pulling off the upset win for Jordan Anderson Racing. We'll see if somebody else will be in contention. We'll see if one of the heavy hitters, the favorites, win this race today. Austin Hill on the pole. He has won at Daytona already on his resume for the NASCAR Xfinity Series by winning there earlier this season, so he's trying to go for the Daytona sweep. Also has a win at Atlanta on a super speedway this year, so he has to be the favorite coming in. We will see if he will be able to double down. As far as the regular season championship and other playoff point outlooks, here is how the standings look like for the NASCAR Xfinity Series season. As for the regular season championship battle right now, it is still very tight. 3 drivers in contention for those extra 15 playoff points with 3 races to go in the regular season. Austin Hill currently has the points lead coming into the day on the pole. He is 9 points ahead of John Hunter Nemechek and 34 points ahead of Justin Allgaier. 4 wins on the season as well for Hill. Nemechek has the most wins on the year despite sitting second in points with 5 wins on the season. Multiple drivers with 2 wins now on the year, including Sam Mayer getting his second win at Watkins Glen last week, and Cole Custer also having 2 wins on road courses as well as Mayer. As for the drivers with 1 win locked into the playoffs, Justin Allgaier, who is third in points, very consistent this year, has the most stage wins but only 1 race win. Chandler Smith had a win very early in the season, as well as Sammy Smith, and Jeb Burton again won at Talladega. So we have currently 8 different winners. That means that there is a possibility of having at least 1 driver lock themselves in off of points. That's even if we get 3 different winners in these next 3 races that have not won a race yet this season. We would still have 1 driver at least locking themselves in on points. Josh Berry's 106 points to the good, and Junior Motorsports has been very good on the super speedways this year, so I expect him to have a pretty solid day and a pretty fast race car, but still sitting just over a full race and a half worth of points ahead of that cutoff line. Daniel Hemrick, Colleague Racing, definitely know what it's like to go to victory lane at this racetrack. Maybe not Hemrick himself, but the cars seem to be one of the quicker ones in the field of that of Colleague Racing whenever we go to Daytona or Talladega especially. He's 28 points ahead of the cutoff line as of right now coming in. Sheldon Creed, RCR, not only Austin Hill is on the front row in the pole, but Sheldon Creed qualified second for this race today and ran very, very well in the first Daytona race earlier this season. He was in contention on the final lap for the win. We'll see if he'll be able to put himself in that similar situation today. But again, he is only 22 points above the cutoff line, and a much tighter battle now for that final spot coming into today's race following the issues for this man, Riley Herbst, last week. He is now only 3 points ahead of the cutoff line after leading points in those first few races this season and running top 5 in points through the middle points of the regular season, but it has been a fall for grace over the last 2 to 2.5 months for Herbst and that 98 team. Again, only 3 points to the good over Parker Kligerman, and Kligerman has been outstanding on road courses and super speedways this season. He's got a super speedway coming up here today. Maybe his last chance to get himself above the cutoff line and then try to sit on that lead going into the next 2 races over the next couple weeks with an intermediate track of Darlington coming up next, as well as, of course, the regular season finale at the Kansas Speedway the week after. As for that points battle, again, if there is a new winner, that would actually put Herbst below the cutoff line as they sit right now, and then the race would be to get to where Sheldon Creed is at, who is 9th in the regular season standings, but he would be 12th on the playoff grid. So that is your point standings outlook coming into the race today. My pick to win the race is going to be the pole sitter, Austin Hill. It's hard not to go for him. He's the favorite. I picked him to win at Atlanta earlier this season. I actually predicted both Atlanta races correctly this year because I picked Nemechek to win the second one. I didn't think Austin Hill was going to have as fast of a car in that race. He ended up having the fastest car of the race, but he couldn't find the help. if he finds the help today, which he has his teammate Sheldon Creed starting on the front row with him, I think he's going to have a very good chance of winning. And there's a lot of Chevys at the front of the field to start this race as well. Parker Kligerman's pretty much going to go wherever the Chevys are. It doesn't matter what organization exactly that is, and he's starting up towards the front of the field also. So I feel really good about Hill's chances today, and even Sheldon Creed, if Hill can't pick it up, I feel very, very good about RCR going to victory lane. As for the starting lineup, here it is. Austin Hill again on the pole, as I mentioned a few times already. Sheldon Creed to the outside of him with the RCR sweep and qualifying earlier this afternoon. Sammy Smith and Chandler Smith, the two Smiths, will be in row number 2 for this one. Parker Kligerman and Daniel Hemrick will be in row 3. Kligerman looking for his first career Xfinity win here tonight. John Hunter Nemechek and Trevor Bayne will be in row 4. Bayne to run 3 races for that number 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing this season. He has ran part-time for that team in years past, getting his first start of 2023 tonight. Justin Haley and Jeb Burt will be in row number 5 for this one. Haley, a former winner at Daytona for Colleague Racing. I believe this is more than likely going to be his final start in the Xfinity Series in that 10 car for Colleague Racing. As for Cole Custer, he'll be on the inside of row 6 with Justin Allgaier to his outside. Again, Allgaier still has a shot at the regular season standings for that regular season championship specifically, as he's only 34 points back. Josh Berry, Sam Mayer, his two teammates will start behind him in row 7. Mayer going to try to go for back-to-back wins. Still looking for his first win on an oval in the Xfinity Series. Joey Gase and Riley Herbst is going to be in row number 8. Brandon Jones and Kaz Gralla in row 9. Jones in pretty much a must-win situation following his DNF at Watkins Glen a week ago. Kyle Weatherman and Anthony Alfredo will be back in row number 10. Josh Williams and Brett Moffitt in row number 11. Parker Retzlaff and Kyle Sieg in row 12. Retzlaff has been very good on the super speedways this season as well. We'll see what he can do today starting deep in the field. Blaine Perkins and Joe Graff Jr. back in row number 13. Row 14 will be Jeffrey Earnhardt and Ryan Ellis. Connor Mosak and Cesar Baccarella in row 15. It'll be Alex Jeanette in row 16 on the inside lane, and former Daytona winner in the Xfinity Series Jeremy Clements to his outside. Greg Gaulding and J.J. Yaley will be in row 17. Natalie Decker making a start in the 53 car. She'll be on the inside of row 18 with Garrett Smithley also in that row. And then Jordan Anderson making his series debut in his first race, in fact, since running into flames at Talladega in the Truck Series race last season. He is back, and he is running a third entry for Jordan Anderson Racing in the 27 car this evening. He'll be on the inside of row 19 starting deep in the field. And then Ryan Sieg to his outside, another former, actually not a former winner on the super speedways, but he has had good runs at the Atlanta races earlier this season, so maybe he can have another good run today. But starting very, very back of the pack, we'll have to see if him and Anderson can make their way forward. As for the people in the stream already, appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Our first live commentary stream of the race weekend. Daytona. Here we are, a thriller in the Xfinity race earlier this season. Probably one of my better calls of the season so far this year. One of the better races on the Xfinity Series schedule, and we'll see if they can double down with another good one here today. Stu Isaac, Terry Lewis, Michael Turner, Joanne C., Nathan Urich, Belize Mambino, Chris Davis, Rowdy Fan 8, Sonic Kicking Mario 1943, and others. Welcome into the stream. Creed has not won a race yet. No, he has not. So you're picking him to win his first race tonight. Austin Hill is Terry Lewis's pick. That's probably the smart pick. I didn't see what his odds were to win the race today. I don't always bet on the Xfinity or the truck races because they're more unpredictable. I will say I've had a good streak going. I'll have to pull it up real quick on my Google Docs page to see for sure. But I predicted a winner in one of the 3 series like the last 6 or 7 weeks. Last week I know I picked William Byron to win the Cup race, and he did. So that would be 1. The week before that at Indianapolis, I would have picked Ty Majeski to win at IRP. So that was the race I got right that weekend. The week before that, at Michigan, I did not have anybody correct in that race. So I guess I was wrong only 2 weeks in a row. But then you go back before that, Richmond, and where else were we? Richmond, Road America. Okay, maybe I'm getting this all wrong. I had Kyle Busch at Pocono. There was a couple weeks in there for some reason I missed. Then I had Nemechek at both New Hampshire and Atlanta. So 3 of the last 5 weeks, I predicted at least one of the series correct, I guess. Or 5 of the last 7. Yeah, 3 of the last 5 too. But 5 of the last 7 weeks, I've got one of the races right. We got 3 chances this weekend with the Truck Series on Sunday at Milwaukee, and then of course Daytona tonight and tomorrow with the NASCAR Xfinity and Cup Series. NASCAR Justin Kent, thanks for tuning in. It's always a nice day when you do these, but today isn't nice for me. Oh yeah, I know. Tough break in the WWE world yesterday. Right after I got done streaming, I actually saw it on the internet of the passing of Bray Wyatt. I'm sure they're going to do some sort of I would imagine they're going to do some sort of a tribute show for him today. There probably still will be matches because people did buy tickets to go to, a wrestling event, so I would imagine that they'll probably have some stuff, in on the side, but definitely a sad story. It's been a very long time since an active wrestler in the company had passed away. I know Luke Harper passed away just a couple years ago, but he was in a different company at the time, and then Shad Gaspard also had passed away. It was during COVID. It was probably 2020, 2021, but he was retired at the time, at least from WWE. I don't know if he was in an indie promotion or something at the time, but yeah, definitely a tough break. So well wishes with him and his family, and definitely sad to see. Only 36 years old. As for the race here today, for more pre-race updates, you'll get to listen in to some of the USA Network broadcasts before the drop of the green flag, so here it is.
And as well, Josh Williams back there in row 11, next to Brett Moffitt. See if we can get Austin Hill on the radio. We'll try him again.
All right, let's give this a shot here. Hey, Austin, it's the guys at the NBC booth. You got a copy? He's dialed in, Rick. He don't want to talk to me. I'm going to give him one more try.
Well, he's pushing the button. I saw him pushing the button. We're just not hearing him right now, it looks like. Try it again.
Hey, Austin, it's the guys at the NBC booth. You got a copy? No luck. No luck. Listen, he's so dialed in. He doesn't want to talk to me right now. I don't blame him.
Well, he did have radio issues here in the spring as well.
Oh.
Dave.
So should I make you sweat and not answer you?
Please don't.
So Sheldon Creed, his teammate, has not won in this season. He's not won in his Xfinity Series career. He had a shot at it last week. Talked to him today about Watkins Glen. He said, I was pretty irritated that we didn't come through with the win there, but I didn't lose sleep over it this week. His job tonight, get to the front, stay in front. He's already above the cut line, needs to stay there these next 3 races if he wants to get in on points, Marty.
So, Dave, Steve mentioned a moment ago, 5 drivers will do a pass-through penalty after the first completed lap of the race, including Justin Allgaier, 3rd in the regular season championship as we sit right now. I asked Justin, hey, what's the plan? And he said, well, the 5 of us, we're fortunate that other teams had this happen to them in the pre-race inspection process. We'll all be back there together, including Jeff Burton, who won Talladega earlier this year. You see him sliding in right behind, right in front of Justin Allgaier right now. He said, we're all 5 going to work together as best as we can and hopefully not lose a lap and hope for an early caution. We'll see how this plays out. Could be a very pivotal moment for Justin Allgaier in this regular season points battle. So DJ, let's go back to the Peacock Pit Box and bring you into this conversation. For your money, is this one of the bigger wild card races on the schedule for the NASCAR Xfinity Series?
Oh, it's the biggest, and I think it's even bigger than when you come here in February for the fact that we talk about points, needing a win to get in, so there's a lot more pushing and shoving. So, Brad, my question to you, who does this affect the most possibly here tonight, either in a positive or negative way?
Yeah, that's what it's hard. That's the unknown, because you just don't know what's going to happen. I'm still watching that 98-48, that Riley Herbst and Parker Kligerman battle. That's fascinating to me. Those guys have to race so hard, and they've got to race each other. They've got to stay on top of each other all night long. If somebody gets behind one, you have to go forward. So,
yeah.
Kyle, I think you got to be hyper-aggressive. with the inexperience, that creates wrecks.
You got to be hyper aggressive, and it's an incredibly fast race.
Yes, it is.
It's just a little over 2 hours.
Yep.
You've got to make something happen for yourself. You've got to be hyper aggressive, but at the same time, you got to have that head on a swivel, man.
Yes,
you
sir.
got to see them coming from the side, from the front, from the back. Anything can happen at any time. And there's a lot of guys in this race that have a whole lot to lose tonight, and only a few that have a whole lot to gain.
So you're saying they got to stay really focused all night. So, Rick, I think that's why Austin Hill wouldn't talk to Steve McCall.
He was locked in. Yeah, the second that they fired the engines, he went into focus mode. Okay, and Kyle Petty just mentioned this. Very fast race. Take us through the numbers, Steve.
Yeah, it's only 100 laps. 30 lap first stage, 30 lap second stage, 40 lap final stage. You look at the fuel window at nearly 50 laps. There's not a pit stop required at any point. You go start to finish of each stage. We expect the pit stops to come at the end of the stages. Now, if we get yellows in the middle, somebody may try some different strategies, but this one can get over quickly if we see some green flag racing.
Okay. We had just referenced the points, how people stand as we enter this race. Again, 3 to go in the regular season. Riley Herbst, Parker Kligerman separated by just 3 points.
Well, yeah, you mentioned it. It's only 3 points, but Sheldon Creed at plus 22, this is the type of race, and Hemrick at plus 28, you have to pay attention. An issue early, you can lose 22 or 28 points very easily. I think Herbst and Kligerman understand they're in the points battle. If you're Hemrick and Creed, don't drag yourself back into it. And if you're Brandon Jones, tonight could be the night that decides if Darlington and Kansas are must-wins, or tonight could be the night that brings Brandon Jones close enough that he can then point his way into the playoffs.
All right, how about the guys calling this race and the experience that they have finding victory lane at Daytona? Guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dale Jarrett. I mean, look at these all series combined, wins at Daytona. Just between the top 2 Dales, there's 27 wins. Steve, you've been to victory lane here as well with multiple different drivers. 4 Daytona wins you've got credited. I'm telling you, it is a stacked field of announcers for this one.
Well, not to mention Brad on the pit box is the owner of the car that won the Daytona 500 this year. So people talk about Daytona, and some people I think go too far and they make it seem like it's a roulette wheel, like your actions don't matter because the draft is an equalizer and because people do have an opportunity. But make no mistake about it, you don't win 17 races here or 10 races here because you just got lucky 17 times. Some drivers seem to know when to make the right moves and at what time. That's really what we talk about when we talk about Austin Hill. That aggression seems to be timed perfectly.
And right next to him is Sheldon Creed. Let's listen into his radio, a little pep talk before the green flag.
All right, tonight, it's survival. We're looking at the big picture. We want to win. We want to get all the points we can, but we got to be smart. I've told him that before he got in the car. Good deal. We're on that plan for sure. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You heard it there. That's RC, Richard Childress, giving that pep talk to driver and team. He's seen a lot of success here as well. Owner of that number 3, made so famous at this racetrack and every racetrack that NASCAR races at.
Well, I think that's the challenge. I mean, the challenge is, so if you're Sheldon Creed, you just heard your owner say we want to look at the big picture. What does that mean? And it's easy to say, and RC knows as well as anyone, so I'm not putting him on the spot, but if you're his race car driver, his 25-year-old race car driver who has yet to win a race for Richard Childress Racing, while your teammate who's starting next to you has won so many, you know, what is the level of aggression and where do you hide? I know it's a big racetrack, but we've seen wrecks from the front, from the back, from the middle.
All right, they're 2 by 2. Our drivers have made their way.
About to get green here at Daytona for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the third to last race of the regular season, round 24 in 2023. Pace car just now pulling to pit road. Austin Hill has elected the outside lane for the initial start. No rain in the forecast. Good to see. On a Florida evening, green flag is in the air, and we are underway in the Wawa 250 at Daytona. 30 laps at stage 1, and then there will be 40 laps in the final 2 stages of the race. They will not have to make a scheduled green flag stop tonight if they time their pit stops out right during stages 1 and stage 2. Hill with the good jump in the middle of turns 1 and 2, pulling down to the bottom of the racetrack, easily clearing Sheldon Creed, but then quickly back to the outside in front of Chandler Smith, who was right behind the 21 car. Creed losing the 21 just a little bit. Didn't get a lot of help off that initial start. Sammy Smith now from third place on the outside pulls to the inside lane. He'll lead the charge in front of Creed. Got to the inside of Chandler Smith for second as well. Not going to have a chance to pull to the inside of the pole sitter Austin Hill, though, and it will be Hill who will lead the opening lap of the race. It's going to be tough to dethrone the 21 tonight. Quite a few cars at the back of the pack making their way to pit road. And I believe they're all having to make pass-through penalties for the start of this race. 5 of them exactly. Justin Allgaier, Jeb Burton, Jordan Anderson, Parker Retzlaff, and Ryan Sieg are all on pit road making the changes. Not the changes, but I guess the penalty following changes that they made post-qualifying and failing the inspection line on multiple occasions. Interesting that all 3 Jordan Anderson racing cars did. So now they're going to have to get up to speed as quickly as possible, try to keep from going a lap down in the early laps of this race. Austin Hill circuits back around to lead his second lap now. Chandler Smith is still in line on the outside lane behind him, as is Daniel Hemrick. And 2 of the colleague cars running nose to tail behind the RCR Chevy of Austin Hill. Trevor Bayne lurking into the top 5 with the 2 JGR Toyotas up there. Him and, of course, Sammy Smith, who's still leading the charge down on the bottom. No aggressive moves being made yet, although John Hunter Nemechek got shuffled out of the bottom lane just a bit. He's 3 wide now between Anthony Alfredo and Justin Haley. Haley, the only Cup Series driver in the field here today, pulling double duty at Daytona this weekend. And Sammy Smith now nearing the inside of Austin Hill that time, but a quick bump draft from the 16 to the back of the 21 helps keep Hill out in front. Sammy Smith again trying to get to the inside in the middle of turns 1 and 2, the shortest way around the racetrack. But he doesn't have enough momentum on the back straightaway to try to keep the speed up. He wasn't too aggressive with the side draft on Hill, nor did he have enough help from Creed behind him, as Creed was about a car length and a half behind the 18. Finally was able to get the push to the 18 car, but it wasn't until they were about to get into turn 3, and now the top 2 to 3 cars are nearly clear of Sammy Smith. Nemechek sliding up into that middle groove again as he split 3 wide middle that time, and no help as he'll lose at least a few positions. There's only about 6 cars on the inside lane. Nemechek will get to the outside right in front of Brett Moffitt in the 25 car, so 6 cars on the bottom, everybody else on the outside all the way through the field. And that is part of the reason why the inside lane is also losing positions, as they're probably going to look to try to go train racing here for a little bit before they lose too many more positions. But it's going to be tough to try to find a hole at the same time, so they're going to try to stagnate the pack as much as they can with side drafting on the straightaways. Brandon Jones going to pull off of the bottom onto the top lane, and now they're down to 5 cars. Oh, looked like Jones got right back down to the bottom again into turns 3 and 4. So he pulled back to the top, and he actually found a hole, and then he ended up back in the bottom again in turns 3 and 4. Sammy Smith still trying to stay underneath Daniel Hemrick for about that 3rd place position right now, but he just can't quite get up to the leaders. I haven't really seen Sheldon Creed be too aggressive at the bump draft here in the early laps, so either. Doesn't want to risk anything too early in the race. Can't blame him considering the slight cushion that he has right now on the playoff standings. And all of those bubble drivers, Kligerman, Herbst, Hemrick, Creed, all 4 of them are inside the top 10 right now. Hill maybe got a little loose in the center of 3 and 4, had to hop out of the gas, and now Sammy Smith will get to the inside of the race lead. Chandler Smith looked like he about ran into the back of the 21 there, so I don't know how Hill got loose. I don't know if maybe Chandler Smith was a little too close to him or what the case was, but definitely looked like Hill was out of the throttle for the 18 to get that close to him, but he couldn't make the pass and pull clear. And I'm sure the first chance he gets to pull clear, he's going to do it. Another car got shuffled 3 wide middle. That was Riley Herbst. He's going to fall out of the top 10. Stage points again awarded at lap 30, so all those bubble drivers right now that are in the top 10 trying to stay there and get as high up in the running order as possible to that lap 30 and then the lap 70 mark a little bit later. Or lap 60 mark, I should say, a little bit later. Sammy Smith side drafting Austin Hill on the front stretch. Hill's led every lap so far at the line. He leads this one again by a little over half a car length. And now Chandler Smith's going to get a push from the 11 car. He'll get quite a ways out ahead of the 16. If the 16 has enough room to pull to the bottom, he probably will, but he can't do it in the middle of turns 1 and 2 because the 18 car is still kind of underneath them. Big trash bag being blown down the back straightaway that last lap. Middle of traffic. Sure, whatever debris might get on the grill of a race car in the middle of the pack, they're going to have a pretty easy time trying to get it off with the turbulence in the draft and how close these cars are running nose to tail. Again, Sammy Smith to the inside at the start-finish line. He's going to lead his first lap of the race. Hill going to try to fight back on the top lane of the racetrack. Pretty aggressive side draft by Hill. Not quite going to be able to pull clear, though, into turn 1, and they're still door-to-door for the race lead. A third lane. Looks like it's about to be charged. That's how Riley Herbst got shuffled out of line on the top, is that they went 3 wide to his outside. Nobody went to the middle to help Herbst out. And it looks like the same thing might end up happening here to the 19 car of Trevor Bayne, who gets hung out from the outside. He's going to get right back in line in front of his teammate Nemechek, who might have just played nice enough to let his teammate in line. So looked like the 19 of Bayne only loses a couple positions. Hole on the outside got formed between the 16 and the 21. That allows for Sheldon Creed to get to the back bumper of Austin Hill, and he's going to try to help his teammate out. Parker Kligerman now going to be the second car on the bottom behind Sammy Smith, but Smith's got about 2 to 3 car lengths between himself and the 48. So he's doing all he can to try to side draft. Creed goes down to side draft Sammy Smith now in the middle of the corner, trying to stall out the run on that bottom lane that time. And they're showing a replay of what happened to Austin Hill and how Sammy Smith got underneath him in turns 3 and 4. And actually, it looked like it was a different replay they were showing of the 19 car getting shuffled out of line. Thought they were going to show how the 21 had lost that lead for just that little bit to Sammy Smith. That last lap at the line, it looks like Sammy Smith led by about 3/1000ths of a second again over Austin Hill. So Hill's led 8 laps so far in the early going, and Sammy Smith has now led 3 after Hill started on the pole. And just the 2 lead changes so far. 10 laps into this race, still 90 to go. We'll take a full field running order rundown in the early going. So Sammy Smith out in front at the start-finish line that last time by. Austin Hill scored in 2nd. Parker Kligerman in 3rd. Sheldon Creed 4th. Justin Haley in 5th. Chandler Smith is 6th. Cole Custer 7th. Daniel Hemrick in 8th. Brandon Jones 9th. And Sam Mayer rounds out the top 10. Trevor Bayne in 11th. Josh Berry 12th. John Hunter Nemechek in 13th. Anthony Alfredo 14th. And Brett Moffitt is 15th. Jeremy Clements in 16th. J.J. Yaley up to 17th. Kaz Gralla 18th. Kyle Weatherman 19th. And Riley Herbst falling back to 20th already. Joey Gase at 21st, Joe Graff Jr. 22nd, Jeffrey Earnhardt 23rd, Kyle Sieg in 24th, Josh Williams 25th, Blaine Perkins is now up to 25th, Connor Mosack back to 26th, Herbst falling to 27th, losing 7 spots that last lap, Greg Golding in 28th, Garrett Smithley 29th, Ryan Ellis is 30th, Cesar Baccarella in 31st, Alex Jeanette in 32nd, Natalie Decker 33rd, Jeb Burton 34th, Justin Allgaier 35th, Ryan Sieg 36th, Parker Retzlaff 37th, and Jordan Anderson 38th. Remember those 5 cars at the tail end of the field had all made green flag pit stops. Or not green flag pit stops, but they had to come down pit road for a pass-through penalty after the opening lap of the race. So that is why they are 31 seconds off the race lead and just not in as big of a pack as those leaders. So it's going to be tough for them to try to maintain ground. It looked like that last lap, they were running very similar lap times to the leaders. The lead car in that pack of Jeb Burton was about 0.3 of a second slower than Austin Hill. There's a little bit less than 20 laps to go in the first stage already, so they might have a shot of staying on the lead lap. And it's going to be very important for them to have to be able to do that, to keep them in contention if there's not a lot of cautions in today's race. We're so far caution-free through the early laps. John Rogers, thanks for tuning into the stream. Josh Berry pulling double duty. Yeah, I mentioned Haley was the only one. I meant the only Cup regular running double duty this weekend. Forgot about Josh Berry running this weekend in the Cup Series, to be completely honest. Mark 63, Robert Perkel, Frank Powers, Mark DeMars. Welcome into the stream, everybody. Some of you that I didn't shout out before the start of the race today. Up to 90 people as far as concurrent viewers in the chat, and 29 likes on the stream. Again, we'll try to get that to 100 before the end of the race today. It's clicking by very quickly. Single file through about the top 5 cars now at the front of the field. Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed still leading the way for RCR. Creed was pushing the 21 down the backstretch right now. As pretty tightly bunched together is that lead pack. Not a lot of separation being built for anybody to try to pull out a line and make some runs as we're halfway through stage 1.
48. Parker Kligerman just jumped into the outside line and left those two Toyotas by themselves. Marty, what you got on the 98 car now?
So, Junior, all the way back in 31st, Riley Herbst, who came in just 3 above the cut line, sits. What's going on with the car? Listen on the radio.
What it was, because I just came from a steering rack car, and now I'm in a steering box car, but the slop on this thing is incredible. Yeah, but is the assist still the same, or is it getting stiffer? So it's not the stiffness, it's the movement in the wheel. My orange stripe is almost 3 o'clock. Yeah, it's far. Just bear with me, light hand. We're trying to get a caution here. Something's for sure broken in the front end. This is incredible, man. 3 races ago in this break.
And that last radio transmission happened 2 laps ago. So, Steve, a lot to unpack there for Riley Herbst. What could be going on with the 98?
Well, let's start what he's talking about with the 2 different steering. He's running the Cup car. The Cup car has a completely different steering system, so very wise to him analyze. I thought it was just the feel between the 2 cars. I tried to ride it out or think about it, but something is definitely wrong. The crew chief asks about assist, meaning you have and then you don't have power steering. What he's saying right there, though, is the slop, which means you literally turn the wheel a little bit and nothing happens, or you turn the wheel back to the right and nothing happens. So it could be really, unfortunately for the 98, a ton of things. There could be a mechanical issue on the outside, being like the tie rods themselves aren't as tight as they need to be. It could be a failure inside the steering box. The trouble drivers is I could give you a list of 30 potential issues, and I'm not sure you're going to have time to check them all underneath a yellow at the end of the stage.
I think if you could just tell me, hey, nothing's broken, right? The shields are in the control arm. There's nothing broken in this car, then I'm just going to have to deal with it. And he's not going to like it. There is something wrong, but will it fail? That's what his concern is right now.
Now, the good news is with 14 laps to go, he has no reason to need to. I mean, you see in the upper right, he's basically a backstretch behind. With 14 laps, no concern about losing a lap, so just do what he's doing and get to the end of stage 1.
Single file racing right now, but the most aggressive driver on the racetrack so far has been Trevor Bain. He has been pushing the issue. Watch Trevor Bain and Anthony Alfredo. Trevor has 3 races to run this year. This is the first of those 3. He makes a move. Anthony, a little bit of a block, a little bit of contact. Trevor says, I'm not lifting. This is my spot. He actually drove up toward the front, and then they hung him out. He was the only car left on the bottom, and now he's falling all the way back just because of that. But he was pushing the button early.
Yeah, one driver who's made his way up to the front, last year's winner in this race, Jeremy Clements, up into the top 10 already after starting back in 32nd. Jeremy Clements, definitely a driver on the move, running 8th right now.
Yeah, that's that blue with the white 51 on the roof, right in front of Cole Custer in the 00.
Parker Kligerman just behind him in the 48. And Parker Kligerman, we heard at the beginning of the show, Parker Kligerman and the 98 of Riley Herbst.
12 laps to go in stage 1. Austin Hill running in the first place position, still Sheldon Creed 2nd, Chandler Smith 3rd, Daniel Hemrick 4th, Anthony Alfredo in 5th, Sam Mayer 6th, Brett Moffitt 7th, Jeremy Clements 8th, Cole Custer 9th, and Parker Kligerman currently rounds out the top 10. Single file racing from the front of the field to the back right now, all along that outside lane. Everybody being very patient in the early laps. We know we're guaranteed at least 2 cautions. Those drivers on the bubble, though, might be a little bit aggressive to try to pick up more points here to the end of the stage. Although I don't see somebody pulling out a line to try to win the stage like a Daniel Hemrick necessarily, unless his teammate Chandler Smith is the first to do so. He'll probably go with his teammate, but considering Hemrick is a little bit more comfortable above the cutoff line, and the fact that he is higher in the running order than all the other playoff drivers that are on the bubble, well, I guess him and Sheldon Creed for that matter, are definitely there. I don't see those two making a move. I definitely don't see Creed making a move on his teammate. And again, I only see Hemrick making the move if Chandler Smith goes, which I think there's a good chance Chandler Smith is going to go for the playoff point because he has nothing to lose. He's already locked into the playoffs. He's had kind of an abysmal stretch during the summer months as well as Herbst. The problem is he's got a win in the bank, so he has already got that playoff security that Herbst doesn't. Car pulling out of the top lane down to the bottom. It's Sam Mayer in the 1. He's going to try to get back to the outside. Almost squeezes Anthony Alfredo into the wall. Mayer was in 6th place, scored an 8th at the start-finish line, but he is going straight backwards. Nobody else going with him. 10 laps to go on the stage, a little too early. Mayer, another one of those Xfinity drivers with a win on the season. 2 of them, in fact, now after winning Watkins Glen a week ago. So he's locked in, looking for an aggressive move to try to pick up on another playoff point, and it's going to bite him. And we're down to 9.5 laps left in the first stage.
Can just take the one spot that you can get, pull in line, do that lap after lap. One at a time, you'll get yourself toward the front. It's very hard to be that patient, though. Here goes the 48, Parker Klingerman, to the bottom, but he can't find a hole to fill that void. That's just way too early right now, especially after just watching what happened. When Sam Mayer hung a left and nobody went to him with him, that should have been Parker's clue. Do not do this. Dude, it's too early to do it. Now, there are times, Junior, where you drive into especially turn 3 and everybody gets bottled up and you either got to run into the guy in front of you or hang a left. And there are times that you get down here never even intended, but you can see what's happening. He was in position to get points, and now he's going to fall all the way to the back of this line.
If you want to make a move on that car in front of you, watch Sam here. Can't really see him. There he is. He's already starting to look to the inside. He's going to try to side draft here and slow down the 78. It doesn't create a big enough hole for him to fall into right there. That's the problem. When you want to make that pass that Sam wants to make, you need to see a little gap in front of that 78 down the back straightaway. So when you do side draft him, it does create that big enough of a hole for your car to fill. If the gap isn't there, you're not going to drag him back and create a big enough hole for your car. That's what happened to Sam.
8 to go in stage 1. Austin Hill has been dominant. 19 of the 22 laps he's been up front. See if he can get there at the end.
So we are running down to crunch time at the end of stage 1. Side-by-side commercial break on the USA Network. Again, your top 5. Austin Hill in the race lead. Sheldon Creed 2nd. Chandler Smith 3rd. Daniel Hemrick 4th. And Anthony Alfredo in 5th with 8 laps left in this first stage. We'll take our first break of the race. You're listening live to the Wawa 250 at Daytona for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Outdoor Matt, thanks for tuning in. Estebar Tobar Souza, thanks for watching. Richard Fulmer, welcome to the stream. Always with the NASCAR content. Every NASCAR race weekend for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series. A little inverted order this weekend with the Truck Series being on Sunday afternoon at Milwaukee again. I didn't even know about that until last weekend. I knew they were racing at Milwaukee, but I would have just automatically assumed it was Saturday afternoon before the Cup race. That is not the case. It is Sunday afternoon at 4. And I think the ARCA Series, from what I saw, is actually running Sunday also before the truck race. So maybe depending on how long that race takes, the truck race might not start directly at 4, but we will be live for the truck race. I'm not going to be live for the ARCA race. The only ARCA race I planned on doing commentary for this year was Daytona at the start of the season, so no commentary there. But we will still have it for the Truck Series on Sunday, so don't forget about that stream. Cup Series tomorrow night, kicking off at 7 p.m. Slightly earlier start time than this race. Of course, 60 laps longer and 150 miles longer in length. 6 to go in this first stage. Couple cars towards the back of this lead group that is running single file towards the outside are starting to pull out of line. It looks like Sam Mayer and John Hunter Nemechek moving down, but only 2 cars definitely not going to be good enough. And they are outside the position to get stage points right now. This is not good for John Hunter Nemechek, who got shuffled out of line when he did earlier in the stage before it went to single file. And the reason being is because with Austin Hill leading and already having a point lead over Nemechek for the regular season championship coming into this race. It's looking to be 10-0 in points scored. Hill over Nemechek. And same goes for Justin Allgaier, who had to make that pass-through penalty at the start of the race today, who was within striking distance as well for that regular season title, only 34 points back into the race. He's also going to get outscored 10-0, considering that he is still over a half a lap down. But they are looking to stay on the lead lap to the end of the stage, not really within major sight of the leaders, so they'll be able to regroup with the caution, more than likely end up getting off strategy with a pit stop during the stage break as well. Well, I would imagine everybody's probably going to end up actually coming into the pits during the stage break, so I don't think they can make it to the end of stage 2 without pitting. No cautions for incidents so far through the first 25 laps of the race, but we are guaranteed a yellow at lap 30. Got to make it to the end of these stages. We've seen a lot of times in all 3 series at the end of the stages, the final couple laps on these super speedways, there tends to be incidences, and everybody's still single file for right now, but you'd have to imagine they're all going to pull out of line and try to make moves that last lap or two, especially the playoff drivers trying to get to the front, in front of Austin Hill, get the playoff point. The bubble drivers trying to get all the stage points they can, because there's quite a few of them up there in contention still. 3 to go this time by for Austin Hill, who continues to lead. Sammy Smith was able to lead 3 laps of side-by-side racing with Hill at the front of the pack in those first dozen laps or so, but he was never actually able to clear him, and Austin Hill ends up holding on to the race lead still. 3 more laps. That's going to be about 7.5 miles here for Hill to try to win the stage. Parker Kligerman in 13th. Didn't lose as much ground as it looked like he was going to lose when he ended up hopping out of line. A couple other cars have obviously hopped out of line since then, so he's able to get some of those spots back. The lead draft right now, it looks like there's 19 cars in it. To make that 20 cars on this lead draft on the outside lane, and then everybody from 21st on back has about a 5-second differential between them and then the last car in the pack of Gralla in 20th. Cutoff line as they run, Parker Kligerman is 15 points ahead of Riley Herbst, and that's with both of them outside the top 10 still. Herbst having that steering rack issue right now, so they're going to have to make some major improvements to that race car during the stage caution coming up. Perfect time for Kligerman to pounce, but it's all for naught, really, if we get a new winner below the cutoff line today, which could happen. One of the couple tracks that it is more likely to happen on the NASCAR schedule. Nobody's pulled out of line yet at the front of the field into turns 3 and 4. Now we've got a couple cars going down to the inside. Still just outside the top 10, though. Brandon Jones, Parker Kligerman, and then there's a car in front of Jones. Can't tell who that is. Looks like Brett Moffitt in the 25 pulled out of line from 6th. He'll side draft Anthony Alfredo. Trevor Bain also behind the 9 car in the bottom. Only 4 cars are there still into turns 1 and 2 on the final lap of the stage. Sheldon Creed's got a massive gap built up between himself and Austin Hill right now. So maybe Creed's going to try to make a run to get this stage win on his teammate. I wouldn't have expected that to happen. Chandler Smith's going to pull out of line a little early on the 2 car. He's going to get to the inside. He's going to clear him. Austin Hill went to the bottom to try to block. Now the 2's getting a big push from behind by Anthony Alfredo. That's going to keep Austin Hill out in front. Hill's going to go to the bottom off turn 4 to block the 16. Creed coming with a run on the top. Nothing doing. 3 wide middle goes 1 car. Brett Moffitt may have sideswiped the 78 of Anthony Alfredo. And we will get to the stage end. Problems for Riley Herbst as he has blown a left front tire at the end of the stage. And that whole left front fender is completely sheared off the race car. Problems only getting worse, it looks like, for Herbst. And what a terrible last couple of weeks he has had. So Hill will pick up a playoff point winning stage 1 tonight at Daytona in a caution-free 30 laps. Sheldon Creed ends up 2nd. Chandler Smith 3rd. Brett Moffitt got to 4th on that final front stretch run. Anthony Alfredo rounds out the top 5 in the first stage. Daniel Hemrick in 6th. Brandon Jones 7th. Jeremy Clements 8th. Cole Custer 9th. And Trevor Bain will round out the top 10. Again, all those drivers receiving stage points through stage 1. This is the 4th stage win of the season for Austin Hill.
Damage. He lost 31 points to the bubble at Watkins Glen. That was the last race. Austin Hill leads and wins stage 1.
So Hill dominating, really setting control of the pack, mostly single file, but even when they were side by side, you can clearly tell his car is more than capable of holding on at the front of the field. I mean, it's not just Hill being able to win races on super speedways with RCR. He was doing that with the truck series at Hattori Racing as well, but doing it in the Xfinity series, showing how good he is on the super speedways. But that 21 car, is just so much faster than the rest of the field. There's nobody else that when they're leading, they're able to just control the pack quite like he has been able to do in multiple super speedway races this year. Again, he's already won 2 of the first 4, winning the first 2 in the spring Daytona race as well as the spring Atlanta race. Had the fastest car in that summer Atlanta race, got caught up into a wreck at Talladega, which kind of took him out of things there in that final stage, but had a quick car that day as well. Hanover Race, thanks for tuning in. Rebecca Chatlos, also welcome to the stream. We're up to 42 likes. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, again, if you have not already. And we'll have more live commentary action throughout the course of this NASCAR race weekend. Up to 97 concurrent viewers so far. We'll wait to take a break here because we might have pit stops on the other side of the commercial break. I would imagine we're going to have quite a few. It's going to be interesting to see who takes tires, who pits for fuel. I would imagine that drivers that take tires now will plan on taking fuel only later, and then vice versa. The drivers that will take fuel only this first time will go for tires later. And I would imagine most of the cars at the very front of the field right now more than likely will end up taking fuel only this time to keep the track position. I think Austin Hill may be the only driver that could probably get away with taking 4 tires and still get through the pack, but if we have more single file racing like we just did, I don't think he can get through the pack quite as quickly for obvious reasons, or he can get through the pack to a certain point before he stalls out and he's not going to be able to pull out a line without losing all the spots he would have already gained. So interesting situation here with this first stop coming up, and I'm curious to see what that 21 team does specifically compared to anybody else in the field with this first stop. Fastest lap speed of the race, I've seen some lap times in the 47-second bracket, middle of the pack. Quite a few drivers have ran their fastest lap. Actually, pretty much every driver in that lead pack at some point ended up running a lap time under 48 seconds. And an average speed of over 189 miles per hour in these Xfinity cars at Daytona as well. The Cup Series a little faster in the draft, so we'll see even faster speeds for tomorrow as well.
We thought and we had heard that it was a steering box issue. Well, the simple fact is, if the steering box is breaking but everything is tight, the front tires are going to turn together, which is not going to feel good, but it is not going to fail a left front or a right front tire because they're pointing in the same direction relative to one another. Just not comfortable for the driver. They came down pit road with a flat tire. Let's listen into what they said.
Maybe there's a problem lap 1. Maybe bring your car to the racetrack.
So you hear the frustration out of Riley. I have to agree with what Riley's saying, that there's an issue with the car. I don't believe it's a steering box. First of all, they haven't changed the steering box. I believe something is either loose or broken that made that left front tire turn out, which Dale, to your point, made him turn to the right, which says, hey, my steering wheel is now at 3 o'clock. And finally, literally, just drug the left front tire around here at 180 miles an hour, scrubbing it until it finally failed and blew a left front tire.
So frustrating for Riley. Riley's done a really nice job this year. This is the second week in a row where something's happened that is out of his control.
He scored 2 laps down as we see the field making their way onto pit road for pit stops, Dave.
The leader, Austin Hill, said, I just need to be able to tug on the wheel a little bit more to steer this thing down into the corner. 4 Goodyear tires for him, and they'll fuel it up. As for his teammate, Sheldon Creed, he's just going to get 2. Sheldon Creed will get 4, and he was just needs to be a little bit better off the corner. Too loose, Marty.
Dave, what a stage for Brett Moffitt. He wound up finishing 4th, said the car was just a little bit too free, especially at the end of the run. Meanwhile, Chandler Smith, bottom right of your screen, said his car was free the entire run, but especially really bad on those final couple laps at the end of stage one. Austin Hill with the call of 2 tires. A lot of 4-tire calls as well, but a couple 2 tires mixed in there as well, Rick.
Yeah, big gains for John Hunter Nemechek. 12 spots on pit road with that little strategy move of 2-tire stop. Does anybody have anything for Austin Hill, winner of stage one?
So Austin Hill, John Hunter Nemechek, Sammy Smith, and Sheldon Creed Parker Kligerman, sorry, not Sheldon Creed, all took 2 tires, right sides only during that stop. So only 4 cars did that to gain track position. As for Austin Hill, I'm sure he would have probably taken 4 if he would have known more drivers were going to take 2, but they wanted to be absolutely certain that they were going to win that race off pit road. And with doing so, they did, because if they didn't, they probably would have ended up finishing second with a clean 4-tire stop. And maybe there's an issue taking a 4-tire stop and losing even more track position than that. So taking the safety precautions out of it. The good news is they'll still have a teammate up there with Creed being 3rd out of the pits, even with the 4-tire stop. Very fast pit stop for that 2 team. We'll take our second break of the race. You're listening live on KRC for the Wawa 250 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series on this live commentary stream from Daytona. Drove TQ midget cars. Beyonce was having road rage while driving. She got ejected from the SUV when so it was like I thought it was like an accident on the racetrack. Still hate to see it. I mean, it's not good either way. But, yeah, that is terrible. Third of the way through the race, just getting done with stage 1. Austin Hill dominating the first stage, leading all but 3 laps from the pole. Sammy Smith was able to lead, actually all but 4 laps from the pole led for Hill. Sammy Smith led 3 laps, and Chandler Smith got 1 lap led in there at some point early in the stage as well. Actually, I think Chandler Smith led on pit road. Maybe that's where he led the 1 lap. Whatever the case, Chandler Smith got 1 lap led in. Sitting at 5 lead changes with 3 different leaders. A lot of racing still to go tonight from Daytona. 2 more stages of racing left. Second stage, again, will be 30 laps, so we'll race to the end of lap 60 to get more stage points awarded for those top 10 drivers at the end of that lap, and then, of course, 40 laps for the final stage. So as long as they pit during the stage breaks, they'll be able to make it upfield. If we get a late enough caution in stage 2, that could bring the field back into the pits as well to top off on gas, with the fuel window being a little bit longer than that final stage. But the closer you are there, the closer you're going to be to the very end of the race if we have multiple overtime restarts, which is not uncommon with this style of racing, especially in the Truck and the Xfinity Series. Kev Kukowski, thanks for tuning in. Mark Barnum, also welcome to the stream.
I think you can go 21-0, and then I'm super excited come September. You know, that 3-race, basically culmination of the whole thing, from the stadium supercross to the outdoor motocross. Now we're going to see that pro super motocross championship all together. I mean, how could you not think Jet Lawrence is the favorite heading into that?
Looking at that as a little bit of a heavyweight battle. All right, want to go to the Peacock pit box? DJ, if we look at this as a 3-round bout between Parker Kligerman and Riley Herbst, did Parker win the first round?
Oh, yeah, he definitely knocked him down right here. Not saying that he's out yet, but guys, this is a pro. We talk about the pressure of the drivers in this scenario, but how about the crews? Because you get no qualifying today.
Yeah, 1 lap of qualifying. You got to nut and bolt that car, and it does not appear that that car was nut and bolted. We heard Steve talk about, you get that slop in the steering wheel where it's doing this, and all of a sudden that left front is toeing out or toeing in, and it looks like it just drug the tire off the car, honestly.
Yeah, the bad thing about this is Riley's trying to get to the playoffs. He's trying to race for a championship. We saw last week this team have problems.
Yes.
Things out of his control. He's doing his part, but he's being let down.
Yeah, Rick, I know he feels like that. Riley feels like he's out of this right now, but we know all the crazy stuff that could happen later on. This could work out and not be as bad as he thinks right now.
Yeah, the one thing he's got going for him is Parker Kligerman didn't finish in the top 10, so he didn't take advantage of any stage points. We look at who did gain those stage points from Austin Hill all the way down to Trevor Bayne. Take a listen to Parker Kligerman's radio.
The 98 had some sort of steering issue. Left front tire just blew off of it, exploded the left front fender off of it. They got a lot going on. They're 3 laps down already, okay?
And it's 34 points now that separate those two right at the cut line. Getting ready.
Pace car onto pit road. The RCR Chevys on the front row with the outside lane getting taken for row 2 by Nemechek. So Creed will be to the inside of his teammate. Green flag back in the air, and I'm sure team order is going to be in line here. Creed maybe holding back a little bit to allow the 21 to get to the bottom. Plenty of room to do that, but the 20's all over the back bumper of the 21, so he's got to make sure that when he times this run out, that Nemechek's not just going to quickly get to the outside. As soon as he'll pull to the bottom there initially, it looked like Nemechek was going to try to make a move, so Hill went back to the top again in the middle of 1 and 2 as they get up to speed at Daytona. There's a chance to move back down to the bottom again if he chooses, but he's just going to stay on the outside. And we'll see if Creed can get back to the top lane. He was able to do that off the initial start of the race. It took him about a dozen laps to be able to do it, but we'll see if he can do it again. Sam Mayer, 3 wide middle, making moves. He's got his teammate Josh Berry behind him. Also the 19 car of Trevor Bayne in the middle groove. So 3 cars in the middle lane trying to go 3 wide and work their way to the front of the pack. More cars now starting to form in line behind them as they have about 5 or 6 cars in the middle group from about 7th or 8th on back. Sheldon Creed saw that. He moved up initially into the middle, now back to the bottom instead where it's going to be a little safer for him. And we'll see if he'll continue to try to move up and into that second lane off the bottom of the racetrack. He will do that. And he is on the inside of the 20 car, Nemechek, trying to side draft him, and now Sammy Smith on the back straightaway. Brandon Jones down on the bottom lane. He is the first car of those that are 3 wide in the bottom. And then Trevor Bayne directly to his outside. It looked like there was near contact between Jones and Bayne. Close call there off turn 4. Definitely getting dicey, and this is the raciest we've seen the pack all night now, 39 laps in. Hill has led the opening couple of laps to start stage 2 as far as the green flag laps go. Creed again to the inside of the 20 car. He can't get to the inside of the race leader. And continues to go up and try to side draft. As he does that, Parker Kligerman just kind of going up with Creed. He's not trying to hang him out of line and make a move for himself right now. He's keeping the pack about as tamed as it can be, at least at the very front of the group. Not as many cars 3 wide in that middle lane anymore. Cole Custer's the only one there, and he may get hung out to dry. 9 laps into stage 2 to this point. John Hunter Nemechek now with the bump draft to the back of the 21 car of Austin Hill. Hill will lead another lap at the line. And I don't think Nemechek's going to try to pull out a line and make a pass quite yet. Has to be smart. And I'm sure that strategy call to get up there was to try to keep Hill from getting as many points on him as he did in stage 1, which was 10-0 for that regular season championship battle, because now the differential was a 19-point difference between those 2 cars to start this stage. Sheldon Creed getting a run down on the bottom lane. Parker Kligerman closing the gap behind him as the charge continues on for Creed, and he might be able to clear and get to the outside of the 21, and he's going to be able to do that off turn 4. Sheldon Creed to the lead. He had a chance to stay high. He'll go back to the bottom instead, but he'll lead his first lap of the race, so the 4 tires proving maybe a little stronger than the 2 tires by those couple cars on the outside. Daniel Hemrick pulling to the bottom 3 wide now, and that's going to put Brandon Jones in a bad spot. Josh Berry moves up in front of Jones, going to try to help him out. I don't think 2 cars is going to be quick enough. They still might end up going backwards off turn 2. They're continuing to lose ground. And a lot of blocking at the front of the field in that bottom lane. Parker Kligerman moving down, making a big block there. Austin Hill getting a big push from second. It looked like he tried to block the 20 car of John Hunter Nemechek. Hill getting bottlenecked up as he almost got pushed sideways in the center of turns 3 and 4. The whole outside lane really started to jack up and jackknife quite a bit. Further back in the pack, we've got a wreck. Our first one of the evening. Multiple cars are around. The 27 went spinning hard to the inside. Hopefully he kept it off the wall. Brandon Jones gets creamed by, I believe, the 38 car of Joe Graff Jr. in the middle of the pack, and Jones' bad luck continues. Back-to-back weeks he's gotten into a crash while running inside the top 15. I don't know what car exactly hit him. Connor Mosak's got severe damage as well. Brett Moffitt, I noticed, was spinning in that crash. So a couple of drivers that were running towards the front of the field were involved. The 91 car is also taken out. There were about 4 or 5 cars with pretty significant damage from that wreck. 53 driving around with some damage to the right front fender of his car. Actually, not just the right front fender, it's the whole front bumper. I mean, the splitter's raised up probably a foot off the ground, if not more. Alex Jeanette hopping out of his race car in the 91. We'll take a look at the replay to see exactly how the wreck ended up happening. There was contact between Anthony Alfredo and Brandon Jones. Jones was in the middle, tagged the right rear of Alfredo. Somehow Alfredo saved his race car, but Jones basically got sideways from the initial contact, overcorrected, went straight into the car to his outside, which had pancaked him, and then Jeanette was the car on the outside that ended up in the wall. Joe Graff Jr. went spinning down the racetrack. The 27 spun sideways to miss him. And I believe that the 27 of Jeb Burton was able to keep it off the inside wall. I did see him spin left to miss the incident, and he did get it locked down and corrected back in the right direction before heading to the inside wall. So great job by him spinning the car out to miss the wreck. Also very fortunate to not get hit by another car that was spinning as well, because there was quite a few of them. And when the 38 came back across the racetrack, when Jeb Burton ended up missing him, Brandon Jones ended up hitting him very hard. Now, Jones already had severe damage to his car from that impact into the wall as it was, but that definitely didn't help matters. It also looked like the hood was up over the windshield, so I don't even think he could have saw anyway. Justin Allgaier barely getting through the wreck. He was in the middle groove right behind Brandon Jones. Pretty much all the junior motorsport cars were in that middle groove, nose to tail. And the third one back was Brandon Jones, where that wreck ended up taking place, and none of the other junior motorsport cars were really involved in the wreck. Every time they show the replay, it looks like there's another car in it that I didn't see in it initially. It looked like it was about a 3 to 4 car incident right away, but looking back at the pack, it looked like Justin Haley spun trying to miss the wreck as well. I don't think he's got much damage. Could have gotten hit from behind and turned with everybody brake checking in the middle of the tri-oval like that. Can't tell who that is that ran into the back of the 9 car. I don't know if that was one of the cars we had already seen that was involved in the accident. Oh yeah, it was. It was Mosak. Mosak ran into the back of Jones when Jones came across the track into the wall. And then Moffitt was the car that ended up getting hit by Jones, which caused that overcorrection to the outside. So it looked like Jones, I mean, he may have had it saved. We'll never know for sure. But that is the dangers of running 3 wide in the tri-oval, especially at Daytona. The tightest area of the racetrack is there, and going into turn 3, it's where we see the most wrecks. And again, our first incident of the night, 40 laps in. And this will knock a handful of cars out of the race. Waiting to get a list to see exactly who is all involved in the incident. Lap 42, and quite a big list of drivers that were involved. Alex Jeanette, Natalie Decker, Ryan Sieg, Joe Graff Jr., Jordan Anderson, Kaz Gralla, Brett Moffitt, Connor Mosak, Justin Haley, Brandon Jones. And it's got Kyle Weatherman and Justin Allgaier on there, but they really weren't involved in the wreck. I mean, Allgaier got a very light scrape and Haley. I mentioned Jeb Burton was in that 27 car. I apologize for that. Jordan Anderson in the 27. Jeb Burton's in the 22 car this weekend, so he could still be playoff eligible for running every race. Doesn't have to be in the same car. But either way, great job by the driver of the 27, whoever it was, to spin and miss the wreck. You can see all the cars at the very bottom of our leaderboard that were involved in the incident. Herbst had a left front blowout right at the end of stage 1 as they were coming to an end in that stage. So that's why he's 3 laps down, but then some of the other drivers 2 and 3 laps down ahead of him are all the drivers that are more than likely not going to be able to continue following their incident. So it looks like Alex Jeanette, Connor Mosack, Brandon Jones, Joey Gase. I guess Kyle Weatherman might have more damage than what I thought. Natalie Decker, Joe Graff Jr. all more than likely taken out of the wreck following this crash that took place on lap 41. That will leave 30 cars still in the race and on the lead lap. Brett Moffitt, who's got quite a bit of damage, is still scored on the lead lap right now, but he more than likely is going to be off the pace. Haley and Anderson didn't look like they had much damage despite spinning there, so I think they'll be okay. And that was pretty much it for drivers that were involved in the incident in any way that could potentially have any sort of damage to the race cars. Rick Craver, thanks for tuning in. Daniel Kyle Busch fan, Derek Booth, also welcome to the stream. Yeah, we had talked about Bray Wyatt's unfortunate passing earlier in the stream. Hopefully WWE does something tonight for some sort of commemorative efforts throughout the course of their show, which I'm sure they will. It's going on right now, actually, but not watching for the reason of giving you guys a commentary of this race. Usually I try to catch the highlights anyway if I don't catch the actual show. I wouldn't say it's the big one necessarily, but it was a decent-sized wreck. It didn't look as big when it first happened. It looked like it could have been bigger than what it actually ended up being, but there were more cars involved in it from when I initially made that call. Looked like there were maybe only 4 or 5 cars, and I think there were like 6 or 7 taken out of the wreck, and then there were a couple more that spun that didn't have much damage as well. Brandon Jones in a must-win scenario, just like Chase Elliott. Yeah, I mean, he was pretty much in a must-win situation coming into this race anyway, after his DNF at Watkins Glen last week, and this is only going to hurt matters for himself. Especially if we get another winner below the cutoff line, which as of right now, there's quite a few bubble drivers that have been towards the front of the field for most of this race. Hence Sheldon Creed leading, Parker Kligerman in third. Riley Herbst back on pit road, topping off on fuel. I think this will get him one of their laps back. They fell 3 laps down. And they're still 3 down on the racetrack. I don't know if he actually got the free pass or not. I mean, there was nobody else a lap down when the wreck took place, unless he was involved in the incident, but I didn't see him involved in it. Could have already gotten around to get his lap back. Could have been 4 down, and now he's 3 down. But this does knock more cars out of the race, which will help his points situation because he can pass them by just staying in this thing. So that is why it is so crucial for that 98 team to get the repairs of that car, keep the car in the race through the rest of the night. If it's going to be a war of attrition for the rest of the field tonight, he still could end up with a surprising top 15, top 20 run, which could save him quite a few points compared to where he's running right now, which would be huge, especially if Parker Kligerman has any issues before the end of this race as well. Almost halfway already at Daytona, a little less than an hour in. Second caution of the night, our first wreck at lap 41. And we have top 2 in the running order right now are the RCR cars of Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill. Yeah, 12 cars total. There were a couple cars on that list, though, that didn't really... Like, Justin Allgaier probably shouldn't have been on that list. I think the only reason they add cars to it is if there was any sort of contact made during the yellow. There was no damage on Allgaier's car for the most part. Like, he stayed on the racetrack, didn't even have to come to pit road to pull fenders out, so that's how minimal the damage was to Allgaier's car, if there was really even any damage at all. He still sits at 14th. I think Josh Williams was on that list too, and he's just in front of him also in a similar predicament. He's very fortunate because Jones went up the track right in front of him, and then Jeanette, who was in the outside lane in front of Williams, got caught up in the wreck, obviously, and he's taken out of the race. So I don't know how Josh Williams was able to be fortunate enough to make it through. When you're in the outside lane, you have less room to go. When you're on the bottom, you have all the apron, depending on what side of the racetrack you're on, to try to miss the wreck. So there's maybe a better chance, but when you're in the top lane, there's literally nowhere you could go. You got cars already underneath you at speed, and then cars in front of you wreck, and you just basically have to hope and pray at that point. And, well, he was able to get through it, so Josh Williams will survive to live another lap here in this race, and maybe he can have a surprise run here tonight. He was up in the top 10 at some point there towards the end of Stage 1, and again, 13th right now in Stage 2. Running competitive in the pack. It's going to be tough to beat Austin Hill no matter who you are. Unless you're Sheldon Creed and you have the same equipment, but even then, the super speedway racing prowess that Austin Hill brings every time we go to a super speedway in the Xfinity Series is just that much better than the rest of the field. It's like Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch in the 2012 Daytona 500. A little bit. Did do something for Bright. Yeah, I mean, I imagine it. I'll definitely have to go back and watch at the end of the night. Also scored track of my Tigers game while they're playing right now. They've been in a tight one with the Astros. I think it's still 1-0. I was score tracking it before the race started. There wasn't a lot of offense. One hit the entire game. The Tigers are being no hit right now, and the Astros have one hit. It's 1-0, one hit in the game for both teams combined. They're in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th. That's insane. If we lose giving up only one hit, that's pretty disappointing. Tigers have had 3 errors, though. That's how they got the 1 run early. And it was an infield single, if I remember correctly. The only hit of the game was an infield single that scored a run. 3 errors, 1 hit, a couple walks for each side. Crazy game going on in Detroit right now, just like 45 minutes north of me. Should be getting the 1-to-go signal this time by. A very lengthy caution in the middle going to this race. None of the leaders coming onto pit road right now, still just outside the fuel window to make it to the end of the race, that is, from right now, so everybody's staying out there. Maybe some drivers at the very back of the pack coming in. May try to risk it. If we get enough caution laps in the final stage, I mean, they may be able to make it, but it'd definitely be a big risk. And again, they are still going to add another lap of caution, it looks like, so they did not get the 1-to-go signal this time by. So we're guaranteed to have, at bare minimum, 10 laps or less racing to go in Stage 2 when we get back to the green. Well, it's just been a wild night so far. Once again, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't yet. Elliott is 101 below the cutoff coming in tomorrow, so he has to. Yeah, he was. I mean, he was practically in a must-win situation before that. And mathematically, now he definitely has to win. Connor Mosak exiting the infield care center.
Kind of unfortunate watching it now. Just felt like I didn't really have anywhere to go. Kind of part of racing here. Just hate it for our guys. Hate it for Toyota, Sam Hunt Racing. Our guys work really hard on these cars, and it's been a rough couple weeks for us, but feel good about the rest of the year, so hopefully we can be good at Kansas.
I know it's a short race for you, but it's your first time here in the Xfinity Series. Did you learn anything? Did you feel like it was good up until that point?
Yeah, for sure. We kind of just rode around in the first stage. I was pretty loose in, so we were just kind of managing that. Wanted to get to the end of the first stage where we could get a stop and make an adjustment, and felt like it definitely fired off better there at the second stage, and we were just working our way through the field, and thought we were in a pretty good spot, but just wrong place, wrong time.
All right, Connor Mosak gets caught up in a crash.
And the field now coming to the choose here.
Brett Whiteside's also welcome into the stream. 1 to go signal finally given, this time by, so into the choose they go. Both the RCR teammates go to the outside. Parker Kligerman will be on the inside of row 1, then underneath Creed, and then Nemechek to the inside of Hill in row 2. Sam Mayer on the outside of Hill, row 3, and I'm not sure who's on the bottom of row 3 quite yet. Looks like it'll be the 19 of Trevor Bayne, who's been up in contention for most of the night. Hasn't really been inside the top 5 yet, looking to do so on this next restart. Row 4 on the restart is going to be Chandler Smith and Sammy Smith. Daniel Hemrick and Anthony Alfredo will be in row 5. No hitter, no more. That's good. And it's only a 1-0 game, so I mean they still have a shot to win it yet. Who got it? Who got the hit? Kerry Carpenter. He's been hot lately. Oh, it was a pinch hit, too. Who did he pinch hit for? Ibanez? Interesting. Guess I had to get his bat in the lineup somehow. Now they got torque up. Alright, enough about baseball for right now. We're about to get back to racing. Very lengthy caution. I was surprised how long the caution took. And we will have 10 laps to go in stage 2. Field making their way through 3 and 4 right now. We'll be officially halfway through this race when we get the green flag as well. 50 down, 50 to go at Daytona. 10 laps left in stage 2. Intensity was there for the early going of stage 2 before that caution. Stage end coming up very shortly. I would imagine the intensity will only continue from here, at least for the next 10 laps. Green flag back in the air for Sheldon Creed, trying to get the push from behind from Austin Hill, his teammate. While John Hunter Nemechek was not aligned to the back bumper of Parker Kligerman very well, and that made the 48 car on the front of that bottom lane, at least for now. Trying to stay to the inside of Austin Hill. Hill with a very aggressive side draft, hanging on that right rear corner panel of Kligerman on the bottom of the track. Sam Mayer now giving the push to Austin Hill on that outside lane. Mayer again the third car in line, blowing past the 48 of Kligerman into turn 3. Kligerman now going to have to be side by side for third. Both RCR cars clear of Kligerman on the bottom. Parker not really going up to try to mitigate the run that the outside has been getting on the straightaways. And that is definitely not helping, but John Hunter Nemechek really nowhere close to that back bumper of the 48 for most of this run. Now both Kligerman and Nemechek took 2 tires, right sides only, during their pit stop at the end of stage 1. Sheldon Creed, who leads the outside lane, took 4 tires. So that also could be helping that outside lane just a little bit more as well. Back to 3 wide on the back straightaway in the middle of the pack. Justin Allgaier looking to thread the needle. And now he getting into the corner. Parker Kligerman rocketed past both RCR cars there, as well as John Hunter Nemechek. That run came out of basically nowhere And for the first time tonight, it is the 48 car of Parker Kligerman who leads at Daytona. 8 to go in the stage, blocking the top and the bottom. Trevor Bayne working himself forward now. And both the RCR cars of Creed and Hill fall back to about 4th and 5th. Creed is the 3rd car on the top. Make that the 4th car as we have another lead change at the front of the field. The 19 car is going to get out in front of the 48 and quickly move up. So Trevor Bayne leads at Daytona, the 2011 Daytona 500 champion. In his first Xfinity race of the season, trying to get that 19 car to victory lane. That car has won 2 races this year. Ty Gibbs with the win at Indy and at Dover. Ryan Truex got a win early in the season as well. Bayne back to the bottom in the tri-oval to block the 16. He's just basically trying to make sure that he stalls the runs out, not allowing for the lead car in either one of those lanes to get enough draft off the back of the 19. It's also going to be dependent on how much of a shove they get down these straightaways as well. Gibbs, I said Gibbs. The Joe Gibbs 19 car of Bayne continues to control the pack. And here's Brandon Jones outside the infield care center following his crash.
I don't know. I mean, we were all 3 wide, and it was starting to get closed in as we came through that tri-oval. That tri-oval almost narrows up a little bit, and so everybody typically closes up through there some, and we were kind of in the middle, which is not a terrible place to be to surge forward, but I think like once whoever was on the inside of me kind of, I mean, just barely moved up, and I barely moved left. I think just the timing of it really just got each other there, but it's been an up and down year for us for sure. You know, I hate it for our partners at Menards. They deserve a lot better finishing than we've gotten. But today's goal was clear. I mean, it was to go try to win the race. We had a phenomenal stage 1. Timed it really well to go get that stage point there and to get, you know, a couple up there on 6. Though I wish we could have finished, but it makes these next 2 weekends very clear what the goal is. It's to go win, and these are some of my better tracks coming up, you know, so we got a good shot at it. We're definitely not out of this thing yet, but Hurst today, man, I wish we could have finished off because that was going to be a good day to capitalize on some good points.
2 more shots at Darlington and Kansas for Brandon Jones and winning the playoffs.
Yeah, he's won at Darlington. He's won.
6 laps to go in stage 2. Still a lot of aggression at the front of the pack, although it's cooled off just a very, very slight bit. Nobody anywhere going 3 wide, at least, of this front group of cars, which would include each of the top 18. And now the bottom lane has kind of been dwindled down to about 4 cars, with Justin Allgaier and Sammy Smith trying to lead the charge about 5 to 6 rows deep. I expect the RCR cars, as soon as they get a chance to pull out of line and try to work their way back to the front of the field again. That being Creed and Hill. Hill giving a push to Sheldon Creed on the back straightaway. Creed going to go to the bottom, and Hill will go with him. So exactly as I stated is going to happen, and it's going to be an early move with 5 to go in the stage. As soon as the leaders saw that, they moved to the bottom, and that allowed for Sheldon Creed to pull clear of the 11 of Hemrick. He has lost the 21 car, though, as Hemrick was able to pull back into the outside lane in front of the 21 car of Austin Hill. And it's going to be a little harder now for Hill to get the run on Sheldon Creed. It's almost like Hill's going to have to make the move first, then Creed's going to have to move down in front of him for those two to get linked back up again. Because if Creed tries to make a move, you'd imagine Daniel Hemrick might go with the 2, and the 21 still won't be able to get to the back bumper of his teammate. Single file in the outside line very quickly now with 3.5 laps to go in the second stage. Trevor Bayne continues to lead after taking it away just a few laps ago. Bayne down to the bottom lane, getting into the corner, and then back to the outside lane once again. Sheldon Creed is backing up to try to get a run on the second place car of Chandler Smith. Middle of the tri-oval, Creed's going to go for it. Daniel Hemrick doesn't go with him. Gibbs went to the bottom. That's going to help Creed be able to pull clear. Creed to the inside of the race leader now, off of going into turn 1 rather. And he has his teammate Austin Hill right there with him. Hill on the bottom lane to push Sheldon Creed in the 2. Creed is clear. Hill is clear. And the RCR cars are back to controlling the pack again late in stage 2. They're still in the bottom lane. Parker Kligerman followed Austin Hill every step of the way to get to 3rd. Hill to the top. Creed to the top now. Kligerman went to go with him with the lane closed. And now Trevor Bayne trying to get the spot back. Hill to the inside of his teammate as they go into turns 3 and 4. Gibbs into the middle lane. I should say Bayne into the middle lane. Splitting the 2 and the 21 apart a little bit. I'm surprised Hill went for that move. as early as he did, especially with his teammate up there, and now Sheldon Creed is falling back to the second car in the outside lane behind Trevor Bayne. He's going to push Bayne. Bayne with a big run into turn 1. 2 laps to go in the stage. He's going to go to the middle lane, 3 wide. Big side draft there by the 19. The 21 goes down. The 48 is underneath both of them as they're 3 wide off turn 2. Hill getting the momentum now from the 2 car. The 48 and the 19 going backwards with not a lot of help. Sammy Smith will help his teammate Trevor Bayne out, but now he is falling back to 5th before that could happen. Hemrick is up to P3. And John Hunter Nemechek is in the outside lane, kind of splitting him apart. His JGR teammates just a little bit. Big push to Hemrick as Hemrick was sideways off turn 4. Creed back to the inside for the race lead. Final lap of the stage. He couldn't clear the 21. The 11 pushing the 21 past the 2. Cole Custer out of nowhere is behind Sheldon Creed in the bottom lane. And Austin Hill will pull to the inside. Teammates no more, at least to the end of this stage now, between Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed. Creed to the outside lane, trying to block the 0-0. Custer to push Creed. Creed, before the push happened, moved to the bottom in front of Sammy Smith. Hill to the outside to block the 0-0. Creed's coming with a run to the bottom, and the teammates are side by side off turn 4 as they come to the end of stage 2. Side by side to the line, Creed and Hill. Who will win the stage? By inches at the line, Sheldon Creed is going to win stage 2. Austin Hill ends up 2nd, Cole Custer 3rd, Sammy Smith 4th, and Daniel Hemrick rounds out the top 5. John Hunter Nemechek at 6th, Trevor Bayne 7th, Parker Kligerman 8th, Sam Mayer 9th, and Chandler Smith rounds out the top 10. And those will be the drivers getting stage points here for stage 2. Sheldon Creed steals it from Austin Hill on the final lap with that last lap pass to win stage 2. And this will be the 4th stage win of the season for Sheldon Creed, which is going to put him now with the 4th most stage wins on the season, only behind Allgaier, Nemechek, and Custer. I guess tied for 4th with Austin Hill behind Allgaier, Nemechek, and Custer for the stage wins. It's a big playoff point for Sheldon if he makes it into the postseason, considering he doesn't have any race wins yet. And he's still in the back half of the point standings for the top 10 to get minimal playoff points there compared to everybody else in the standings ahead of him as well. So Sheldon Creed wins the stage by a very slim margin there over Austin Hill, as they were side by side to the line. About a little less than a half a car length Creed had over Hill. And we're getting into pit stops. So even with the 2 and the 21 racing as aggressively with each other as they did there, they still were able to finish 1-2 in the stage, which I was quite surprised that they were battling each other as much as they were, especially in the laps before the last. I could see on the last lap them going at it like that, but they were doing that with about 3 or 4 to go in the stage yet. Once they got split apart from each other that first time, Austin Hill caught the back of the 2 and went for the lead immediately and pulled on the line maybe a little too quick. Sheldon Creed was able to get him back, even though it looked like Creed was going to be nowhere to be found there, but he was able to make his moves, timed out the runs perfectly, and maybe learned a little bit from his teammate Austin Hill riding behind him for all these super speedway races. Creed maybe picking up on a little bit of that skill set that Austin Hill withholds. Whoops. Didn't mean to log out of the raw feed there. Get that back up for you guys. 39 laps to go. We'll have our final pit stops of the race coming up. During the Stage 2 break, it looks like the 35 car of Joey Gase will get the free pass. Unfortunately for Riley Herbst, he'll still be 3 laps down to the end of the stage. He might have pitted for fuel, so he could end up taking the wave around here to get a lap back. Joey Gase will go from 3 laps down to 2 laps down. So it's going to be tough for Herbst to get any more laps back with Joey Gase in front of him unless Gase gets knocked out of the race. Herbst still looking to keep the car on the track, though, in case we get any more DNFs. He was the first driver to have any sort of major issues tonight, and he ends up still ahead of at least 6 cars in the running order, and we still have 39 laps to go. Again, under caution for the Stage 2 break. at Daytona, our third caution of the night.
The world center of racing where NASCAR was born, to the first speedway at Darlington Raceway. You're watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Wawa 250 from Daytona International Speedway. And what a, I guess I would say, dramatic finish to stage 2. You had so many drivers that looked like they had an opportunity to win. You had teammates that maybe were hanging out their teammates at the end of that one.
That was just dress rehearsal. That wasn't even the main show yet.
Okay.
But this what makes the stage races so exciting, right? Because I call it dress rehearsal, but there's some awards being paid, and for Sheldon Creed, 19 points already in the stages has to be just a huge sigh of relief for this 2-car. I know they haven't got the win they wanted, Dave, but 19 points, regardless of what happens in this final stage, has been a good night so far.
Steve, the team talked to Sheldon about how the 21 treated him. Listen.
21 wants you to know that he does not mean to leave us. He's getting such a big push from behind that if he stayed in line with us, he's going to wreck us. So he had to do something. Yeah, I've gotten a few of those tonight, too. It's all good.
Sounds like Sheldon understands. It's all good.
Too
Wow,
big
they
of a
trust
push.
each other.
Yeah, too big of a push. I had a couple of those tonight, too.
So wait a second. Wait. I heard what he said, but you think the tone was like, I'm going to say this, but I don't really believe this? Or do you think that was like...
So now you got to listen to the tone?
Man, I mean, that sounded like I was like, yeah, I'm going to play nice until I have my chance, and then I'm going to go past. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, that's okay, right, Steve? That's all right. But I think Sheldon's tone was, yeah, I get it. That's happened to me a couple of times tonight already. So the 2 is coming to pit road now with the entire field. Sheldon said, I need to... I'm going to get 2 right side tires, he was told, but he'll have to wait on fuel. 21 was told we're going to plan B. I think that's 2 right sides too, Marty.
Cole Custer, bottom left of your screen. They pitted under the last caution. He told Jonathan Tony, we got 3/4 of our problem, which is the car being way too tight. I still need more, still too tight on that run for Cole Custer. A 2-tire stop for the Goodyears there. And Daniel Hamrick, 11 valuable stage points for the 11 team tonight. He said I need a touch more speed, just a little bit to free the land rush off of pit road. A lot of no tires and 2-tire stops here. So a lot of different strategies coming off pit road, Rick.
Yeah, Junior Motorsports went with the no-tire idea, and Sam Mayer gained 8 spots, Allgaier 9, Josh Berry 10.
The 21 of Austin Hill, he isn't taking left side tires off yet. I think those 2 Goodyears are going to go for the whole duration.
Yeah, watch from Sam Mayer. These spins, stands in the gas, almost spins that thing out.
And that's how close it was. Racing off of pit road. The restart when we come back.
Curious to know if the 21 still going to have the drivability needed by the end of this race, as he's going to try to attempt to go all of these laps in this race on those left side tires. What, right sides only during stage 1, right sides during stage 2. Quite a few 2-tire stops this time around, which we were expecting with it being the final stop of the race, and that there was so many drivers that ended up going 4 tires earlier. During stage 1, there were only 4 drivers that went with 2, which was Nemechek, Hill, Kligerman, and I believe Chandler Smith. I think they all took right sides only. And I think Hill was the only one of those drivers that ended up taking right sides again. So if there was one driver to be able to win the race in the field today without pitting for left side tires, it would be Austin Hill, because he is that dang fast. We'll take a quick break. We'll get back into the live commentary action. You're listening live to the Wawa 250 from Daytona for the NASCAR Xfinity Series on KRC. Philip Moore, welcome into the stream. And for anybody who I didn't shout out throughout the course of this race, appreciate each and every one of you tuning in to our first live commentary stream of the race weekend. It is the regular season finale weekend for the Cup Series. It's not the regular season finale, though, tonight for the Xfinity Series. They still have to race in Darlington and Kansas before their playoffs will begin at Bristol. And as for this race here today, it'll be Sam Mayer who will lead the field to the next restart after he went with a 2-tire stop. Sheldon Creed ends up second, Justin Allgaier third out of the pits, Austin Hill fourth, Ryan Ellis up to fifth, Sammy Smith in sixth, Cole Custer seventh, Josh Berry eighth, John Nemechek ninth, Parker Kligerman will be in 10th for the ensuing restart. Average race speed to this point, 132.09 miles per hour. This stage break was our our third caution of the race, and we only had 1 caution for incident, which was at lap 41. With the multi-car crash in the middle of the tri-oval, which has caused for us to have 6 drivers depart from this race a little earlier than they wanted due to that wreck happening. Down to 36 to go. They have not gotten the 1 to go signal yet. I would imagine they will probably get that this time by.
It's going to ramp up the intensity and all the blocks and everything else. And I think we'll see more of the two RCR drivers, Creed and Austin Hill. They're the ones making the moves. They're the ones being aggressive, holding on to the track position. I don't think you're just going to waltz up there and take it away from them late in the race. They're understanding what works, what doesn't work tonight in the draft, and they're learning the most. So I kind of like what I'm seeing out of those two drivers.
Yeah, they got really aggressive right there. And they've been aggressive with each other as well. They've taken runs, taken the lead away from each other. You're going to have to be aggressive if you want to win this race. But I want to know what 3-time Daytona 500 champion Dale Jarrett thinks. If I want to know how to win the race, I definitely got to get your opinion.
Well, guys, by what I saw and what I think we all know is that you can't trust any of these guys. I don't care if they're your teammate or not. So you better get what you can get and not worry about anything else. And if what I saw that they'll do for 1 or 2 points at the end of stage 2, what are they going to do for a trophy and a trip to victory lane in Daytona? This is going to be pretty exciting.
All right, we see the choose and where they will line up. Let's have a look at the Ruoff Mortgage Keys to Victory Lane. And guys, how do you get to victory lane?
Well, who's going to help you? I mean, you've seen it already. You make a move, somebody's going to go with you. If they don't go with you, they're going to hang you out. You're going to the back.
I think the hardest thing to do is keep your nose clean. That means do not wreck, don't get in wrecks. That's kind of up to chance, but you do have a little control over your fate out there.
Well, what's your agenda, right? The 98's having issues. If you're Parker Kligerman, how aggressive do you want to be? How much are you willing to risk to try to win this race?
All right, Dave, that's a great question. How much are you willing to risk to win this race?
I like Dale Jarrett's trust no one attitude. And I think for Sheldon Creed, I think he's a really cool customer. Yeah, he understands that Austin Hill is... We just need to make smart moves to the end of this race, Marty.
Hey, Dave, remember how this race started for Justin Allgaier? They had the inspection failures earlier today, then they had to do the pass-through penalty. We're worried about going down lap. That did not happen. Jim Pullman has called a fantastic race, fuel only on the last 2 stops, and look who is up in the second row, Justin Allgaier. And remember, here in February, Rick, he led on the final lap of the race and did not win here. So Justin Allgaier would love to be able to finally get a Daytona win tonight. It's been a long night, but they're finally up there with a shot at it.
Yeah, Marty, twice he's finished second here at Daytona. Can he get to victory lane, improve that 1 spot, and reach the checkered flag first? 34 laps until we determine the winner.
Here we go, final stage about to begin. 34 laps remaining at Daytona for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Sam Mayer will be the control car for the first time tonight on the restart. Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, the RCR cars on the bottom. Green flag back in the air. Will this be the final restart in this race? And how hectic will it be from now to the finish? Will we see any bit of calmness like we did for Stage 1? We did not see that at all in Stage 2. Already 3 wide off the start. Didn't waste much time. Sammy Smith getting put into the middle lane. Jonathan Nemechek with him. Josh Berry trying to lead the outside. Still trying to go for his first win. His teammate Justin Allgaier moves up in front of him. So 3 wide down the back stretch. Heading into turn 3. A lot of rows deep. And pretty much from about 4th on back there, 3 wide. Big move by that 22 car there of Jeb Burton, who was in the middle lane. In the 4th row, found a hole on the bottom, got there, continued to move forward past a few more cars. And he's about to break into the top 10 for the first time. He was 20th on the restart, and he got up to 13th. 7 spots gained the first lap as they were getting to speed. Creed and Hill at the front of the field, meanwhile, were able to get out in front of Sam Mayer very quickly. Mayer really nowhere to be found as he has been dropped now back to about 6th place. I think he is in the outside lane right in front of his teammate Justin Allgaier. So I think he was just trying to go to the top with his JRM teammates, but that ended up costing him the lead. And then a couple other spots after that. Trevor Bayne in that middle groove, one of the more aggressive drivers throughout the field today. And all 3 Joe Gibbs Toyotas in that second lane now trying to work forward. Not as many cars 3 wide, so they're going to kind of control the middle groove on the straightaways to try to side draft and then take the shortest way around the racetrack in the middle of the corners by going all the way down to the bottom on that double yellow line, and that is exactly what they do in turns 1 and 2. Sammy Smith trying to lead the charge as he was able to get out in front of his teammate Trevor Bayne. Bayne going to try to push him on the backstretch while Smith does the side drafting, and we'll see how much ground they can gain on the 2 RCR Chevys at the front of the field that lead the outside of Creed and Hill, with Creed out in front. Cole Custer's the third place car in the top lane right in front of the JRM Chevys of Mayer, Allgaier, and Barry. And then the Kaulig cars lined up directly in line as well, just behind them, of Chandler Smith and Daniel Hemrick. I'm sure Justin Haley should be somewhere in there as well. Not quite. Haley's a little bit further back in the pack at 22nd. He hasn't really been up in contention for most of this race. But he certainly can't count that driver out of it at this style of racing either, especially in this series. Bottom lane has all of a sudden dropped down to about 4 cars. And it'll be interesting to see how long they can actually keep up with the cars at the front of the field. You'd imagine all 3 of the Joe Gibbs cars are going to stay in line as long as they possibly can, and then they've got Parker Kligerman right behind them. But that's it. 4 cars versus about 25 that are on the lead lap and in this lead draft. 30 to go at the start-finish line this time by. Leader at the line is going to be Sammy Smith by inches, despite the fact that they're lacking the numbers in that bottom lane. Smith has been one of the few cars to actually put a challenge to those RCR cars when in the bottom, but he just hasn't been able to get enough of a run to be able to clear. And now he actually does have enough run to be able to clear off turn 2, but he's going to stay with his teammates, at least for now. And he'll consider pulling up, and he does, and then back to the bottom initially. He'd like to get Trevor Bayne at least up there in front of the 2 car as well before he commits fully to the outside, but he's just not able to do it. Middle of 3 and 4, he's going to go to the top in plenty of time in front of Sheldon Creed. Bayne underneath the 2 of Creed. Creed got a bit loose off turn 4. And it looked like the 21 was directly underneath his back bumper, but a late moment there for Creed. Remember, took right sides only, so those left sides a little bit old. Not as old as Austin Hills, though. But he's still trucking right along, and now Creed will pull to the inside, trying to slingshot back past the 18 of Sammy Smith, and he does so successfully through turns 1 and 2. Creed back out in front now with 29 laps to go at Daytona. Trevor Bayne to the inside of the 18 cars. He tries to lead the charge on the bottom as he still has John Hunter Nemechek behind him. Sammy Smith getting pushed majorly by the 21 of Austin Hill. He was all sorts of out of shape on the backstretch, but kept his foot in it, steered out of it. Hill let go, kept him from wrecking, and now Trevor Bayne to the inside of the 2 car for the race lead in the middle of 3 and 4. Only 3 cars on the bottom now with the 18 stuck in the top between the RCR cars. All it is Bayne, Nemechek, and Kligerman, and they're making ground. And now it looks like it's the 18 of Sammy Smith who got hung out to dry by Austin Hill in that outside lane. He's going to have to drop all the way back behind his teammates. As he's 3 wide middle, side drafting with Kligerman, that allows for the 19 of the 20 to get too far out ahead of him, and they're losing the numbers quickly on the bottom. Creed back to the front of the field on the back straightaway as Hill pushes him. 27 laps to go this time by, and it'll be a NASCAR nonstop commercial break. We'll go through the full field running order one more time here in this one with 28 to go. Trevor Bayne led that last lap at the line, but it looks like this time at the start-finish line, it is going to be Sheldon Creed. Out in front, maybe? No, Bayne leads. By 2 1/1000ths of a second, Trevor Bayne led that last lap, so he is scored out in front. Sheldon Creed in second. John Hunter Nemechek is third. Sammy Smith is in fourth. Austin Hill is, let me restart that leaderboard, updating on me again there quickly. Trevor Bayne is in the race lead. Sheldon Creed in second. Austin Hill third. John Hunter Nemechek is fourth. Cole Custer in fifth. Sam Mayer sixth. Justin Allgaier seventh. Sammy Smith in eighth. Josh Berry ninth. And Chandler Smith is 10th. Daniel Hemrick in 11th, Parker Kligerman 12th, Jeb Burton 13th, J.J. Yaley 14th, Justin Haley 15th, Jeffrey Earnhardt in 16th, 17th place is Anthony Alfredo, Jeremy Clements in 18th, Josh Williams 19th, Greg Gaulding was 20th that last lap, Kaz Gralla 21st, Brett Moffitt 22nd, Blaine Perkins 23rd, Parker Retzlaff 24th, 25th is Kyle Sieg, Ryan Ellis 26th, 27th Ryan Sieg, Cesar Baccarella 28th, and Garrett Smithley's the last car on the lead lap in 29th. Jordan Anderson, the first car lap down in 30th. Joey Gase, 31st. Riley Herbst in 32nd. Kyle Weatherman is in 33rd. Joe Graff Jr. 34th. Natalie Deckard 35th. Brandon Jones 36th. Connor Mosack 37th. And Alex Jeanette rounds out the 38-car field tonight with 26 to go. We'll stay right here with our live commentary coverage. Trevor Bayne, John Hunter Nemechek, Sammy Smith, the RCR cars getting put to the test by the JGR Toyotas. 2 of them pulled into the bottom lane now in the middle of 3 and 4 to control the pack, being the 19 and the 20. The 18 still stuck on the bottom. Ideally, if they can get all 3 cars up there, they will be set, at least for now, until the 2 and the 21 try to make a move. A lot more cars in that bottom lane, though, all of a sudden behind Sammy Smith. It's going to be a little harder to try to control the run right now for the 19. We'll see how well they're going to be able to do it. 6 or 7 cars are now in that bottom lane, and I would imagine that lane is only going to get even bigger the closer we get to the end. Sammy Smith almost squeezed his teammate into the wall. Parker Kligerman goes 4 wide to the inside to take second place away from the 20 and the 18 car that almost got together. Now Kligerman slides all the way to the top in front of Sheldon Creed to take over second still, and he's all over the back bumper of Trevor Bayne with 24 to go.
Trevor Bayne out in front now with Parker Kligerman running second on that high line. Sammy Smith in the 18. It's been a wild ride last 2 or 3 laps for Sammy Smith. Sheldon Creed in the 2 on the outside, that 3rd car on the high line. And the 21 of Austin Hill, the 4th car back. The 19, Trevor Bayne. Take a look at how loose he was here.
Nemechek just trying to push him to help him. Believe it or not, this did help him. I thought it was going to take him out of the race, but this big push right here, look how loose he got. He still got the lead.
This inside line's been doing some good work over the last handful of laps, and it's allowed the Toyotas to get the lead. It's allowed the field to shuffle the RCR cars back outside of the top 3. I would commit to this bottom groove, especially with Trevor Bayne, Sammy Smith, Nemechek, all Joe Gibbs Toyotas in that bottom line. I would just stay down there and keep working together. I wouldn't be pulling up here in front of that 48 and helping those guys. I would only block them when I could, block their runs. Otherwise, I try to stay together. Now, see, that's what happens. It busts everything up. Now the 20's in the middle getting sent backwards. Trevor Bayne's now the top lane, blocking both.
Guys, doesn't it just feel like there's something big about to happen here?
Yeah. They're underneath Sammy Smith.
You can't depend on anyone. Teammates, nothing. Seems to be making sense, right? Feel like everywhere you go, somebody's taking advantage of you or passing you or side drafting you.
I like Sam Mayer's aggression, though, with 22 to go. You can't wait to 5 to go and think you're going to get here. He's being aggressive, taking that 3-wide move, trying to get some track position, while out front, the 19 of Trevor Bayne continues to lead. Let's listen into the communication with the spotter.
First 6 are single file now. Half back. That's it. Top lane's really working here.
Not a lot of help on that bottom lane.
That's it. Just watch it keeps backing up on you. 1. Stay in 1. The 2 backs up right there. He backs away from him. Gap of 1. He's half in your mirror. Now he's backing up. Watch your gap. Stay in 1. Stay in 1. Stay in 1. All right, 2 comes back to him, half back, half on you. 2 has the car right with him, staying tight.
Single file.
Starting to get a bottom lane working again. 5 rows back.
Think about that. Single file, and he didn't get off the radio button for 2/3 of a lap.
Right. Stevie Reeves was the voice we were hearing there, right?
Yeah, you talk about a guy that knows his business. That's a man that has driven the IndyCar and the Indy 500. Like Stevie Reeves knows how to race, veteran on top of the roof. And how about the tone, the delivery? Yeah. He sounds like he's sitting next to Trevor Bayne, just having a discussion.
Great move there by Creed in the 2. He had the momentum, drove to the bottom.
He took one spot away from Parker Kligerman. Realized he wasn't going to be able to try to pass Bain. Jumps back in that top groove, but this allows that inside line a little momentum. Big shove coming from the 1 to the 7 down into turn 3. Trevor Bain, not enough of a run to be able to get up. There he goes to the bottom of the racetrack, blocking that run Mayer had. Back to the top of the racetrack. Trevor Bain's dancing out there, man. To not have many starts this year, this stuff here comes natural. Daytona 500 winner. Does everything he can to keep this track position.
Trevor Bain is the 6th different driver in the 19 this year. There's been wins by Ty Gibbs and Ryan Truex already in the 19. Bain out front here at Daytona.
Dwindling down the laps now as we're all the way to 19 laps to go as Trevor Bain continues to lead the pack at Daytona, transferring his car from the top lane to the bottom lane when needed to control the lanes and the generated speeds being built up to try to make a move on Bain for the race lead. Justin Allgaier with an aggressive side drive nearly made contact, it looked like, with the 48 car of Parker Kligerman, and pulls up to the inside of the 2 car while Sam Mayer had a run from the back of the 7. Allgaier must have gave the one of Mayer a big enough push there off of turn 4 to get Mayer to the inside of the 19. Was so close to clearing him, but Bain was able to side draft and pull that 1 car back just enough, as he does again in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and gets as far away from Mayer as possible before Mayer comes up the racetrack on the back straightaway to do the same and try to mitigate the amount of speed the outside lane gets now as they head into turn 3. 17 laps to go this time by at Daytona. No cautions in the final stage, and we have had just 1 yellow for incident all day today. That has left still 29 cars on the lead lap out of the 38 that started this race. And it's the junior motorsport cars of Sam Mayer and Justin Allgaier who have taken their cars to the front. They're the only 2 JRM cars to get a win this season. And Trevor Bain in his first start of the year has really impressed in that 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's led quite a few laps in this final stage. Has really been in contention for most of the night, despite being one of the more aggressive drivers throughout the pack from the start of this one all the way back on lap 1. He was one of the few trying to dice it up 3 wide in the beginning when nobody went with him in that first stage. Had cars going with him, including his teammates towards the end of stage 2 and now the early and middle going of stage 3, but all of a sudden we're getting into the late going in this stage as we're down to 16 to go at the line. Can they make it back around under green? If they do, this will be incredible because the amount of aggression we have seen in this final stage, especially over the last 10 laps or so, has been intense. Mayer and Allgaier both have cleared Trevor Bain while they move to the top on the back straightaway. Right now they stay to the bottom, now they move to the wall. And it'll be Jeb Burton in the 22 car now trying to lead the charge on the bottom lane. John Hunter Nemechek is there. And we'll see if Nemechek leaves the lane open on the bottom for the 19 car to potentially get back down. Allgaier to the outside of his teammate Sam Mayer to take the race lead off turn 4. Mayer going to have to lead the bottom lane now in front of Jeb Burton. Allgaier is clear as he transfers positions with the 1. 15 to go, and Allgaier leads his first lap of the night as he now tries to control the top and the bottom. 3 lanes starting to form at the front of the field. The Joe Gibbs Toyotas are in the middle of John Hunter Nemechek and Sammy Smith. Nose to tail. The 08 car going to move up behind him. Trevor Bain off the wall to the middle lane now in front of the 20 and back to the wall in front of Creed. Big block by Mayer as he pulls to the outside in front of the 19. Back to the bottom quickly instead. Allgaier moves to the top in front of the 19 car of Bain and back to the bottom with his teammate again in 3 and 4. Justin Allgaier maybe 2 car lengths out ahead of Mayer in that bottom lane. Back to the outside off turn 4. Trevor Bain trying to get a run on the front stretch. Sheldon Creed is pushing him into the tri-oval. Is Bain going to try to make the move this time, or will he wait? He is going to wait. The 1 car of Mayer was underneath him, so he probably didn't feel comfortable cutting down early. Now he is clear of Mayer while he tried into turn 1. He does not. Allgaier moves to the bottom, maybe trying to break the draft in the run that the 19 had, and he was able to do so successfully. Nemechek still in the middle lane 3 wide, but all the help he had has now left him. Mayer going to go up to try to side draft Sheldon Creed for second. This could allow the 20 to get a little bit better of a pull, but he still doesn't have a push from behind, so he's going to stay stagnated in the middle lane as he's falling outside the top 10. For the race lead, to the bottom of the racetrack goes the 19. Trevor Bayne out in front. And clear high off turn 4 as he slides up in front of Allgaier. Allgaier now to push the 19 car at the front of the field. Sheldon Creed right there with the 7.
Not going anywhere without a run. Right now he doesn't have any momentum. Nothing worth really taking a move for. He's going to need that same sort of a run like Bayne had down the back straightaway. They're too wide behind that 2 car of Creed, so that means there's not a lot of pushing that Creed's going to be able to do. Now here comes some. Watch what happens. Gets right to him, and now the 7's going to get a run. What does he do with it? Oh, the 21 to the inside of Parker Kligerman. The 2 to the inside.
Wow. And the 21 of Hill got down on the yellow line, and it shot him back up the racetrack. He was able to catch it. Now the 2 teammates. Look at the run that Hill has.
The field felt good about getting the RCR cars kind of slid out of track position, but they've found their way back towards the front.
And now, under 12 to go. Bayne back out front. Here comes Creed.
Unbelievable racing as we're down to just 12 laps to go at Daytona. Side-by-side NASCAR nonstop commercial break going on right now. Trevor Bayne leads, Sheldon Creed second, Austin Hill third, Justin Allgaier fourth, Chandler Smith is in fifth. All within 0.2 of a second of the race lead at the start-finish line that last time by. We'll take our final ad break of the race while we are under this break, and we'll get back to the action here shortly. You're listening live to the Wawa 250 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Daytona. We're up to 70 likes on the stream. Our goal is 100 tonight, so be sure to smash that like button if you haven't done so yet. As we are getting prepared for the finish. 10 laps to go this time by. Trevor Bayne, Sheldon Creed at the front of the field are side by side, currently on the back straightaway. Creed's got Austin Hill behind him as the 2 RCR cars have pulled to the front. Bayne's got to be careful moving down to try to side draft the 2 because the 7 may get to the outside if he gets a big enough of a push and help from Parker Kligerman behind him. Allgaier's now about 2 car lengths behind Bayne in the middle of the corner, now charging hard, closely behind him off the exit of turn 2. Sam Mayer gets shuffled to the middle lane 3 wide now in front of Sammy Smith. 10 laps to go. Bayne leads that lap at the line once again. In that lap of the start-finish line, the top 10, Bayne was in the lead, Sheldon Creed second, Justin Allgaier third, Austin Hill was scored fourth, Parker Kligerman fifth, Chandler Smith sixth, Daniel Hemrick seventh, Sam Mayer eighth, Anthony Alfredo ninth, and Jeb Burton was in 10th. Will they hold on to the finish? Creed leading the bottom lane once again. He side drafts the 48 of Kligerman. Gets to the inside of Allgaier. Trevor Bayne sees the 2 coming, but he stays on the top now, moves to the bottom. Plenty of time to get down in front of Creed. Hill left the 2 just a little bit. Hill trying to get that speed back now on the front stretch as he slowly closes in on the 2 car. You got to wonder what the handling's like on Hill's car. Remember, those left side tires are the same tires he started the race with, and maybe he just doesn't have the grip to be able to handle his car and stay full throttle in the gas to get up to the 2 of Sheldon Creed. Because they don't seem to be quite as dominant as they did look through those first 2 stages from a speed standpoint. They have not been able to control the pack whatsoever. Sheldon Creed with a little bit fresher left side tires went up to side draft the 7, but the 21 didn't go with him, and Hill's going to take over second place. Down to the bottom, big block by Trevor Bayne, and he barely timed it out in front of Austin Hill as he holds on with 8 to go. Car sideways up turn 4, and back across the racetrack. It's Jeb Burton into the outside wall. Cars are wrecking behind him, trying to miss the incident as the caution flag is out once again. Our 4th of the race, and our 2nd for incident. Somebody just crammed the inside retaining wall. It might have even been the grass that caused the damage to the front bumper of both of those cars. Looks like Jeffrey Earnhardt's involved. Not a whole lot of damage on Jeb Burton's race car. He's on pit road now to change tires. He should be able to continue. It looked like he had it saved until he didn't.
was able to do it. And the field did a really good job of all sort of backing down a little bit and trying to give Jeb the chance.
See, Haley had been involved in something earlier. Baccarella stops on the racetrack. There's Ryan Ellis being attended to by the AMR safety
Ellis and Baccarella involved in the
Ryan,
incident,
another one of
not
those
Jeffrey
drivers
Earnhardt.
who began racing at the age of 4. So this 33-year-old has been racing for a very long time, and he gets caught up in this incident. It almost seemed as though with Jeb Burton sliding sideways, this incident happened way behind him. Like they were all checking up, trying to avoid, knowing something was going to happen.
Yeah, the 22 definitely caused the incident behind it, but not because of contact. To your point, I don't know if it was somebody checking up. You see the frustration, but I mean, I thought he had it. It was a 180-mile-an-hour slide in both directions, and I think he just finally got behind on the steering.
They're still working on that car. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so he's like the 4th car on the bottom, the bright yellow and black 22.
He just gets loose. He got loose right there in front of the field. Everybody trying to check up. Almost gets it under control.
See right here. This car comes around on him quickly. And now he's in survival mode. He did a really good job, but you just get behind on the steering and you almost, it's hard to do, Junior. You almost just at that point need to just crank it back to the left and spin it out and hope you don't hit anything, but that is so hard to do.
To be honest with you, the damage there doesn't look too bad. Look at the 78, he's wrecking. Everybody was loose off this corner. These cars are a real handful. This track is aging and getting slicker and slicker. Everybody's been talking about being loose all night long.
You said it, that hit to the wall. It's right along.
With the slower steering boxes they run here at the Speedway, this is some heavy-duty work. I mean, this is hand-over-hand corrections. And you mentioned it, Dale, not a lot of damage. Trying to look up at the top of the screen, I was trying to see what they got here behind it.
This should be it right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the 10 checked up.
Ooh, nasty shot to the inside. Wall right there for Ryan Ellis.
Watch what happens right here. Aerodynamically, as soon as he got next to the 2 car, that's when you could actually hear him get loose. Get next to the car, it takes air off the spoiler, takes side force away from the car. You're already compromised here because you want the car to be slippery through the air. You don't want to make downforce. Already a little bit loose. Get there, and around the car goes. See, right there, it immediately came around on him. He wasn't expecting it. We were riding along. He was wide open in the gas. He had no indication that he was going to be loose.
A big hit right there for Ryan Ellis. Hits that inside wall.
Yeah, it looks like Caesar gets in the back of the 10 right there. The 10 splitting down the track. Ellis reacts to that. And I'm going to tell you, that looks like a hard hit, but that wall used to be angled even more aggressively. Many, many years ago, that would have spit that car back out into traffic. What you got, Marty?
Well, Jeff Burton driving the paint scheme to honor his dad's Ward's 2002 win here in the Daytona 500. He actually did say on the radio, he said, that just got away from me, as you guys said, got way too free. He said, I felt that coming for about 5 laps, just with the way the energy was moving in the pack. Something was going to happen, just snapped loose on Jeff Burton, the Talladega winner here. 6 laps to go. The other interesting piece to this, Steve, is that, you know, on the fuel number, if you were running up front, I think there's a lot of teams thinking, hey, it's not very tight, but if they go into a few overtimes here, I think fuel could start to become a concern for everyone.
Well, the big question is how much fuel they put in, because from lap 63, it shouldn't be an issue to go 37 laps. We think they can go nearly 50. But when you look up and down and see 4 and 2 tires and no tires, that tells me that, you know, they were waiting on gas or perhaps didn't wait on gas. So we don't know when the last time the cars were actually full of fuel.
Crew still working on Jeb Burton's number 22. A couple cars are going to make their way onto pit road. Dave?
The 8 of Josh Berry has just been free all night. Another car that's been free. So they're going to make more adjustments, air pressure this time, put on some left side tires, and send him back out. See what they can do, Marty.
Yeah, Jonathan Tony asked Cole Custer, hey, what do you want to do here? He said, well, I know we're not going to be able to win like this. He said the car just fell off way too much at the end of the run. So 4 Goodyear tires here, some fresh ones for Cole Custer, hoping to make a run up through the field. Still 5 to go. We'll see what these guys can do once it goes back green.
And I like these calls for tires. I know we talk about they're wide open and where the runs come from, but 4 tires will allow you to be aggressive on the steering and push people to this level of uncomfortableness with their car.
Wild race tonight at Daytona, as we all could have probably expected for this NASCAR Xfinity Series race, and we are coming down to the wire as we're about to have a late race restart, our only second caution for incident to this point. Knock on wood. Hopefully we can make it to the end without any major problems and see a win. We've seen 3 flips in the Xfinity Series on super speedway so far this season. Of course, at Daytona at the beginning of the year was Sam Mayer, then 2 flips in the spring Talladega race, so hopefully we have cars staying on all 4 here for the finish of this one today. But aggressive racing throughout the pack. They did a great job making it to that point, and a great job that it wasn't a bigger crash than what it was, as there were only really a few cars with any sort of damage. Ryan Ellis took a big hit into the inside walls that were brake checking at the back behind Jeb Burton to wreck. So that has knocked Ellis out of the race, and as well as Cesar Baccarella, who was the driver who ran into the back of Haley. Haley still on the lead lap as he got his car to pit road and back out on the racetrack for this restart. And we still have 27 cars on the lead lap for the ensuing restart. Jordan Anderson in the 27 car got the free pass with the caution coming out, so he is back in contention as well. Trevor Bayne was scored the race leader when the caution flag came out. Justin Allgaier second. Austin Hill will be in third on the restart. Chandler Smith will be fourth. Parker Kligerman will be in fifth. Sam Mayer 6th, Daniel Hemrick in 7th, Sheldon Creed 8th, Anthony Alfredo 9th, and John Hunter Nemechek will be 10th. So that is your top 10. And we will see how this is all going to situate itself out. Jeffrey C., Dr. Penguin, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I put a comment in the chat a little bit ago, but let me know if there's any lagging issues going on with the stream. I don't think there is. It looked like it was a little slow on my end there for a couple seconds prior to that caution. Hey, the squeaky toy has not happened at all in this stream, so we're actually going to make it through a live commentary stream with the dog in the house and no squeaky toy. Caution changes everything. It doesn't change a lot. I mean, they were aggressive before the caution. They're going to be aggressive with it. It does allow for these teams to save more fuel. We're not going to go past the scheduled distance, as we should get a restart in here with more than 2 to go. I should rephrase that we're not going to go past the scheduled distance with this caution, but if we get another one, we will. Regular season finale for the NASCAR Cup Series will begin tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it will be an interesting one, to say the least. I would imagine Bayne and Allgaier are going to be on the front row. There you go. They still... I don't think they've gotten the one-to-go signal yet. Either they just now got the one-to-go signal, or... We have not received it yet, so maybe we will end up going to overtime.
I saw you smiling a while ago when they were showing that once
Absolutely.
again. But what's it like as a pressure from a car owner in a situation like this?
Yeah. So we go into tomorrow, and this is like you say, he loves this type of racing. So when I talked to Ricky today, he's like, man, we're going to go and try to win. We need to get points. Let's start working on firming up our positions when we get into the playoffs. That's what we want to do. That's what we're going to try to accomplish, to win a championship. Who knows? So we're going to this thing to try to win tomorrow night, to get as many points as we can to work towards winning a championship.
Sounds like everybody wants to win.
That's tomorrow. We have got 2 laps of racing to go here for the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, so what's the goal right now? If you're the 19 car of Trevor Bayne, he has been the most aggressive blocker in this entire race. But right now, his goal is to get that 21 car to lock bumpers and push. Don't push too much. If you lock bumpers past turn 2, they're going to penalize you on this restart. But get all the push you can right here.
Trevor Bayne and Allgaier making up row 1. Right behind him, Parker Kligerman.
The moments I've been waiting for 10 months.
That was Trevor Bayne.
We'll have 2 laps to go in the restart. Bayne will be on the outside of row 1. Justin Allgaier on the inside. No teammates directly lined up nose to tail for this restart, at least through the top 5. I think Nemechek and Sammy Smith on the inside lane for rows 4 and 5 will be the closest of the teammates that will line up nose to tail. So we'll see if they'll find each other, but all bets will more than likely be off, as they have been throughout most of the night. Green flag back in the air. Gibbs, the 19 of Bayne, not a great start there, and he just turned himself into the wall. We've got a wreck on the front stretch, a big one. Sammy Smith, Austin Hill, Trevor Bayne taken out. A lot of good cars at the front of the field, and it all started with a bad block by the 19 of Bayne. As they were getting up to speed, it looked like somebody was going to take him 3 wide to the outside, and he moved up and crowded himself and that car into the outside wall. Severe damage on a lot of good race cars. Austin Hill is all sorts of torn up. Now he's going to have to change left sides because the left side tire on that left front is rubbing against his left front fender. John Hunter Nemechek involved.
19, Trevor went up the racetrack to try to block a car that had a move on him.
And a big push to 16 to get the 21 there.
I think it's as simple as that. An aggressive move by the 21, and the 19 throws a block that he feels is required to win the race. In the end, there's just not enough space, and it's a bit too late.
Inside with you. Bottom way inside as well. All tight. All tight. Just start watching those mirrors here.
I'm not so sure that Austin Hill even meant to get there. He got hit from behind.
Chandler Smith in the 16 got into the back of Austin.
And I'm not sure the 19 wants to keep blocking. It's like he catches him in the right rear and it just moves the 19. He definitely makes one move to the right.
Yeah,
and then as soon as they touch bumpers, it's over.
When you watch from the in car of the 21, he makes the movement with the steering wheel to go right. He thinks, man, I'm in a good position. It's on Cascarala's car. We'll see how he...
One out the back, 00. It's pushing, wrecking up here.
Manages this wreck.
Get low,
Right there on the right front.
all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Now work your way up, work your way up,
But I think Austin Hill made a move, which I thought was a great move, to ditch the 19 to the middle and try to continue to get help from behind. He goes up the racetrack. 19 blocks it. He just wasn't clear.
Just, it's aggressive racing. Here we go. 16 was right behind pushing the 21. And that's what we talked about. That's honestly what you want. You want the guy behind you pushing you. Here we go again. Watch 16 get to the 21. And about the time he gets to him, he feels like he has a run. Kind of moves the 19 a little bit. Pops up there. Game on.
You know what I love about that move of the 21? I know it didn't work, but it was decisive. Like when he decided to move to the right, it wasn't a slow move. Like he changed lanes with some serious intent to try to get to the right rear quarter panel.
It's good, just hard racing. It's you come here to Daytona, Talladega, and you have to be willing to block. You have to be willing to make these moves if you're going to win. Dave.
Rick mentioned earlier, just 19 years old, Sammy Smith, and this is just his 24th start. So all night long, there's been a lot of coaching on the radio trying to get him to do the right things. In fact, even one time he said, I'm going to do this, or I can do what you guys want me to do. So Sammy's been learning all night, just couldn't avoid that one. Heavy damage on the left front.
See Chandler Smith, the left front, tearing up the fender as he's trying to get back to pit road. Listen into the radio of the 19.
I knew he was going to do it, but what a... He pulled out. That wiggle just, he hit you as he pulled out. Yeah, I mean, he was locked on my bumper when he turned down the line.
Yeah, so what he's saying is he's locked on the bumper, so when he turns, it turns the 19 car. You know, he's saying, look, I didn't try to block him. It's just he's locked on my bumper, and when he makes that move, his front bumper drags his rear bumper, the 19 car's rear bumper. Yeah, so that's what he's saying. Like, he didn't make that move to block. It's he got put in that situation.
But if that's the case, wouldn't he have turned left?
Well,
and if he was bringing that rear bumper, it would have sent him left, wouldn't it?
So what happened is when the 21 goes to the right, it turns the 19 sideways to the left, and he's correcting to the right against that.
Yeah.
And it's just a little contact with the corners. Same thing we sort of saw in the tri-oval earlier in the race with the 9 and the 78. It takes very little to get these cars out of control. They hook the bumpers right here. Neither one of them can sort this out at that point, and it's just mass chaos.
Yeah, by that radio of the 19, it doesn't sound like he was thinking, hey, I was going to block him. It was, hey, my car was driving me that way, right? Like, we're seeing it in slow motion. He had to make a split-second decision, and it seems like he's confident in saying, I didn't mean to go and block. It was just the contact of our bumpers had my wheel turned to the right. You mentioned that sticky stuff on the rear bumpers, but here we are, 100 laps into the race. These bumpers have been beat and banged. They're nowhere near as smooth as they were 2 hours ago. So when you move left to right, they kind of grab a little bit like sandpaper, and that can steer the car much easier than it would have earlier in the race.
And after all of that, there were two cars out front that were able to scoot ahead, Allgaier and Kligerman. Let's hear from Parker Kligerman's crew chief, Patrick Donahue, is with Nate.
Indeed, Rick. So Parker Kligerman's been telling us all week it's all about max points throughout the race and then go for the win. Here he is. He's second for this overtime restart. He's exactly where he wants to be. What's the plan here for the final restart, and how do you think Parker's driven?
Parker's done great. I mean, the Spike Coolers car has been up front all night, and we've been aggressive on pit road. Guys did great. We got a fast car, and he's been learning, and, that took out a lot of great cars. So we're going to hopefully start on the front row. We were able to get the lead the last time we started up there, and hopefully tonight's our night, I think. We're going to have some vodka in victory lane, so we'll see.
All right, Parker Kligerman trying to bring it home.
Nate, let's chat with Jim Pullman, the crew chief for Justin Allgaier. Man, when you and I were talking earlier this afternoon, did you dream you'd be in this spot in an overtime position?
Well, sure. I mean, we hoped we were going to get back out there, it's been a difficult night not getting any stage points, and we put ourselves behind the 8 ball early. That's been a struggle, but yeah, he's done a really good job, him and Eddie, going through there and methodically picking them off and getting us in the right spot there, so.
I've heard you mention fuel to Justin twice. I've heard Eddie DeHaan tell him max save here under caution. Is there a concern on fuel?
No, not a concern. It's just a pickup. We made a mistake at Atlanta. We didn't keep the pickup full, and it cost us a late race, really good finish. So we're in the same situation here. We can definitely go the distance. We're good for a couple overtimes. It's just not stumbling on the restart.
There you go. Jim Pullman has done a terrific job. Remember, they had that pass-through penalty on lap 1 of the race. Justin Allgaier in a spot to get his first ever Daytona win, Rick.
What do you think about this? Allgaier choosing the inside line.
So Justin Allgaier will be on the inside lane. The control car for the restart. Parker Kligerman will be on the outside of row 1. Row 2 is going to be Sheldon Creed, Daniel Hemrick. Row 3, Parker Retzlaff, Anthony Alfredo. Row 4 is going to be Jeffrey Earnhardt, Gray Golding. And then Josh Williams and Kaz Gralla, it appears, will be in row 5.
Allgaier and Custer, they've won races in the top 20 on the left side. You see the pylon, all those names you mentioned. It's unbelievable.
Dave.
And remember, Retzlaff in the 31 car, he was one of those cars that had to go to the rear at the start of the race, had to do a pass-through just after the green flag. So he told me earlier today, I love all speedways, but I love the super speedways, and I just hope I can bring it home in one piece. Right now, he's in one piece and in the top 10.
Listen in to 48 radio here.
You can do this, okay? You're the man. We've been here before. You've got the lead, okay? Come on, buddy. Do it.
See the 7 on the flat. I like that pep talk on the 48 between crew chief and driver. And the 7, you heard the crew chief mention about the stumbles. What he's doing right now is making sure the fuel cell pickup is full of fuel. There's no air in the fuel line, so when he goes to max fuel consumption, wide open throttle, the car will accelerate cleanly. And I like the bottom because with the double yellow line to your left, if you're Allgaier, you kind of force the 2 and the 31 to push you. Versus the 48, he's going to have to be looking to his right to make sure the 11 doesn't get there.
Yeah, we saw how vulnerable the lead car on the outside was on the last restart. Good point. Pick that bottom. Plus on the bottom, you can tell the 2 when you're going. No one else will be able to see that.
Through the Geico restart zone, once again, green flag back in the air. First attempt at an overtime finish for this Xfinity race at Daytona. Justin Allgaier leads the field to the green, and he is not going to be able to pull clear, at least initially, on Parker Kligerman. The 11 moved up out of lane, not going to push the 48. The 7 doesn't have a good push from the 2 car coming either, as they'll stay door-to-door and side-by-side for the lead through turns 1 and 2. 3 wide already starting to form now around 7th or 8th place. Now 3 wide just inside that of Jeffrey Earnhardt, getting underneath of Kaz Grallo, the 26. Cole Custer pulling out a line from the top lane into the middle as well. Allgaier and Kligerman stay side by side for the lead into turns 3 and 4. If they make it to the white flag, which they do not, as they're already crashing into turn 3 once again. John Hunter Nemechek, Josh Berry involved. It looked like Josh Williams was also spinning. Severe damage on Nemechek's race car. He was involved in that last wreck too. Big fire now out from underneath the hood. And that car will be taken back to the garage on the wrecker, and we will have a second overtime attempt coming up. Brett Moffitt also with quite a bit of damage from that accident. Jeremy Clements is tore up. Josh Williams' car is stalled out. And the O2's got some damage as well. That being Blaine Perkins.
There's John Hunter Nemechek out of the 20. A lot more drivers headed to the infield care center.
And that goes back to that, fuel concern for the 7. They didn't burn a lot under green. They barely, when they run about a half a lap, probably at wide open throttle, but even under yellow, burning a little bit of gas. Let's take a look at what happened.
So right there, we know the 8 car's in it, in the middle of the screen right there. Oh, the O2 Perkins gets down the racetrack into the right rear of the 92. Just getting a shove that turned him left into the 92.
Brett Moffitt involved in the 25.
A lot of pushing and shoving right here. And, cars aren't driving. When you get pushed like that, the cars don't drive straight. They're just banging into each other, and eventually they just run out of. Look at that right there. Car's all the way in the air.
Looked like Jordan Anderson, the 27, is back there pushing Perkins and just got Perkins out of shape.
Jordan Anderson, remember, ran that truck race last year at Talladega. Big fire, he got burned.
Yeah, 2nd and 3rd degree burns for Jordan Anderson.
His first race back since then.
Jim knew it was coming.
Check.
That hit for the 92 you pointed out, that thing was way up in the air. Good work by the safety devices to keep that car back on the ground. You're going to see it right here as they all turn sideways. The white and blue car. There's the contact. It looks harmless from this angle. From the other angle, though, we saw just how much air there was underneath that car.
Yeah, all 4 tires off the ground for Josh Williams in the 92.
Cole Custer made that big move to the middle on those fresher tires. To your point, Jeff, about being pushed. The cars dance all around. I'm not sure how much more grip newer tires get you, but definitely got to help.
Yeah, that wreck started 3 rows ahead, you know. Just guys pushing each other, knocked people out of line, and just an accordion effect. Couldn't get slowed down, and these guys got swept up in it. That's where it started.
Close to top speed as they were going into turn 3. The caution comes out. We'll try a second overtime when we return to Daytona. Allgaier out in front. Kligerman running second.
We're going to have a second overtime restart attempt coming up here. Fuel may be becoming a little bit of an issue for some of these drivers, mainly for the pickup, and trying to get to that green flag with the tri-oval being banked. A little bit harder to not have a stumble happen. Maybe some of the reason why Allgaier took the inside line for that restart so he can run the apron to keep fuel in the pickup, so that way he wasn't going to have issues on that last restart, which he did not. When the caution flag came out, Allgaier was scored as the race leader. Parker Kligerman in second. Sheldon Creed third. Daniel Hemrick in fourth. Cole Custer fifth. Parker Retzlaff sixth. Greg Golding seventh. Anthony Alfredo eighth. So those are the drivers that are going to be in those front few rows on the upcoming restart. This knocks a few more cars out of the race, and we are down to 21 cars on the lead lap. And as far as cars that are still running, it looks like 26 of them are on track. Jeremy Clements had quite a bit of damage from that incident, and I think he is still on the racetrack right now. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. It's good for Riley Herbst, who's going to gain quite a few more positions in the running order to the end of this race as well. A lot of very good quality race cars taken out from the incident before that. Trevor Bayne, Austin Hill. And Austin Hill's actually still in the race. He is 1 lap down right now in 22nd. So he's another caution away from getting the free pass, getting back to the lead lap. Jeb Burton, who was involved in the caution right before this one, or actually the caution before the first caution, which set us up for the overtime restart with that first green-white checker with 2 laps left. He got the free pass with this yellow at lap 103. Very clean race tonight up until about 8 to go. When Jeb Burton spun off turn 4, that caused us to have a restart, a wreck in the tri-oval as they were getting up to speed. Started with the 19 and the 21, and now, of course, with this wreck taking place going into turn 3 with 2 to go. And again, we will have a second overtime restart coming up. Up to this point, we have had 9 different drivers lead at least 1 lap in the race. Austin Hill has still led the most to this point with 36 laps led from the pole. Just over 2 hours since the drop of the green flag tonight. And we'll try to see if the second attempt at an overtime finish will be the last.
And is there a line that is too much? At what level is the aggression just too much for the drivers to handle?
Well, I just hope we can get back to the checker without tearing up more race cars, man. It's tough watching that happen, but you got to get the right help and the right pushes when you can and make the moves to be able to, make the pass that you need to make. But it needs to probably happen late in that lap, either going into turn 3 or coming off turn 4, a little side draft late, and hopefully you're the first one across the finish line, Jeff.
If you don't push the guy in front of you, you're not going to win. If you do push the guy in front of you, you're probably going to wreck. It's just a difficult situation that you get put in on these racetracks. If you're not willing to get up there, push that guy, hit the back of that bumper, your line's not going to move. But we just saw what happens when you don't get it right.
Just after 10 o'clock here on the East Coast, 29 cars have been involved in incidents today as we look at the playoff standings.
That number may be a little bit skewed considering that there were some cars that were involved in incidences that had little scrapes, like Justin Allgaier throughout the course of the wreck, a few others as well. But as far as this race here tonight goes, we're about to get into our second overtime restart. Be sure to hit the like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet. Our goal is 100 likes on the stream, and we are only 16 away from that goal. So again, hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. We're at 86. Need to get to 100 here before the very end.
Hopefully get a good clean start here. Hopefully nobody behind us gets us. We had a good points today with stage points, and that's really what we needed. We've had a rough season, a lot of bad luck with us this year. So if we can just finish this thing strong, I think we can win the race. I think we got a better car, but we're all racing that 48 for a playoff spot. So it just depends on how it plays out. As long as we get the right pushes at the right time, this is all about being in the right place at the right time.
All right, there's the outlook for Austin Creed, overtime restart.
And the right place at the right time is the checkered flag in 2 laps.
Well, there's a lot of names inside those top 6 or 8 that can completely change it.
Said Austin Creed. That's Xavier Woods in WWE, I think.
If one of those drivers win, everything we've been thinking about with the playoffs will be upside down.
All right, 2 laps to go once again. Our 3rd green-white checker attempt, but it's the 2nd overtime attempt past the scheduled distance. Justin Allgaier going to lead the field to the green. Daniel Hemrick behind him to give him the push. Green flag back in the air. All cars firing off. Nobody running out of fuel, at least for this restart. 3 wide. Jeffrey Earnhardt gets shuffled out of that middle lane into the top. The 10 car of Justin Haley out of nowhere up into the top 10 now for really the first time tonight. Allgaier clear in the middle of 1 and 2 on Kligerman, who didn't have a great push from Sheldon Creed. Another move to the outside now being made by Kaz Gralla further back in the pack off turn 2. Daniel Hemrick is also clear of Sheldon Creed. And Parker Kligerman moves to the outside. Hemrick to get a run now and a push from the 48. He pulls to the bottom, but the 48 stays to the outside, does not go with Hemrick. And it'll be a battle for second still into turns 3 and 4. Allgaier's clear by a car length and a half in the middle of the corner. The 48 closes quickly off turn 4. Kligerman going to try to potentially make a run for himself. He does not do it. We got a car spinning off of turn 4. It's Kaz Gralla. No caution. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. Creed to the inside of Kligerman for second at the start-finish line as Justin Allgaier still leads by about 3 car lengths into turn 1. Allgaier's car bottoming out quite a bit there on the left front. He's going to go up the racetrack to try to block the 48, back down to the bottom to block the 2 successfully. Just over a half a lap to go for Justin Allgaier at the front of the field. Hemrick going to give a push to Sheldon Creed. Creed's got to run. Can he get a bigger run to the back of the 7? Here he comes to the outside lane. He wiggled just a little bit as he gets to the outside of Justin Allgaier. Will he be able to clear off turn 4? He will not. The 7 is going to side draft him. Kligerman's coming behind the 2, the 11 behind the 7. Door to door off turn 4 as they work their way into the tri-oval. It's going to be a photo finish. Is it the 2 or the 7? It's the 7. Justin Allgaier wins at Daytona over Sheldon Creed by inches. And a big wreck behind them with Josh Berry, Jordan Anderson, and others as they cross the checkered flag. Justin Allgaier wins his first career race at Daytona in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, his 2nd win of 2023. By 5 1/1000ths of a second, he beat Sheldon Creed. Closest finish this season in any of the top 3 series. 5 1/1000ths of a second. As you see on our leaderboard, caution came out after the leaders crossed the checkered flag. Allgaier easily the race winner. You'll get to hear from him and some of the other top finishers from tonight's race in our brief post-race show. Like to see that Hellman's scheme get to victory lane, one of my favorite in the Xfinity series year in and year out. Best mayonnaise on planet Earth, by the way. I'm not sponsored by Hellman's, but I really love their mayonnaise. But as for Justin Allgaier, he's going to be loving getting to go to victory lane here at Daytona. Redemption from earlier this spring when all 4 junior motorsport cars were in contention on the final lap. And they basically blew that race, really, in the closing laps. The last couple of restarts tonight, they did not blow it. And Allgaier is going to be the winner. Kind of had to do it on his own as his other teammates were either already wrecked or wrecking behind them in those last couple laps. And he was the lone wolf and was able to hold on. Only JRM car to finish in the top 15, and he ends up in victory lane. Dale Jr. wins again at Daytona, this time as an owner once again. And I think this is the first race at Daytona he has won as an owner for the Xfinity Series since Michael Annett won here in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Back in the spring event that year. Allgaier getting out of his car. In celebratory fashion.
Dave's right down there with them.
You hear the emotion from the team. They know that for Justin Allgaier, this is big. They know about Daytona too. And Allgaier has just won for the first time at the World Center of Racing. Driver who is a veteran in this series, went to the Cup Series, came back, and now doing winning things for Junior Motorsports. And tonight, it's at the biggest venue it can be. Justin Allgaier, you have finally won at Daytona. Get a drink of water.
First of all the fans out here, thank y'all. I've been coming to this place a long time. I wanted to win here so bad, and we've been so close. And this team, I just can't say enough. Jim Pullman, everybody on this 7 team, everybody at Junior Motorsports. Obviously, our Helmets Camaro was amazing tonight. To come through the adversity that we had to come through and to not really be sure what we were going to have there at the end. You know, we did all the things we needed to do, and Picker were lights out. Eddie DeHaan, my spotter, was fantastic. Wish my family was here. You know, they're not here. We got softball tomorrow, so I'm disappointed they're not here. Miss Evelyn, it is Miss Evelyn Brandt's 100th birthday today. 100th birthday, and that's special, man. You know, Michael McDowell said it after Indy. He said, God is good, man, and there's nothing, did I win? I think I did, right? That angle looks bad, doesn't it?
No, you're definitely the winner.
You know, honestly, just the end there, the pushes, I can't thank them guys enough for the pushes that we had. Just cannot say enough about the Hendrick Engine Department, all of our partners, Chevrolet, Brandt, Hellman's, Unilever, all of our partners, Unilever. Just so many people to thank. It's just unbelievable. So, yeah, this is going to be a good one for sure.
Justin, you mentioned the adversity. The day started awkwardly. You had to come from a pass-through penalty.
Yeah, I mean, we had an oversight yesterday when we got to the track and put a car through inspection that just wasn't where we wanted to roll it through inspection. And unfortunately, that cost us a pass-through. And the team never quit, never gave up, and we rallied. And obviously, we put ourselves in good position. And the strategy was awesome, and it was pretty awesome.
Look around. How much will you treasure this?
More than you know. You know, the flag right there, Chant USA, thank y'all. This is the best country in the world, and it's, man, it's special. This is Daytona. This is one of the iconic places in the world, and I'm just so thankful to be here.
And Justin Allgaier is a winner at Daytona, Rick.
Well, Justin Allgaier is now going to head to the Ruoff Mortgage Victory Lane, one of the most famous ones in all of racing here at Daytona International Speedway. The crowd saw it. We saw the replay over and over. 5 1,000ths of a second. That's tied for 4th closest margin of victory ever in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
A thriller down the stretch there. Justin Allgaier getting the win by 5 1,000ths of a second over Sheldon Creed, who ends up in P2 and still will have to wait for his first career NASCAR Xfinity Series win. Daniel Hemrick finishes in 3rd tonight. Parker Kligerman 4th. Cole Custer 5th. Parker Retzlaff with a top 10 finishing 6th. Ryan Sieg 7th. Anthony Alfredo 8th. Greg Gauldy 9th. And Justin Haley rounds out the top 10. Jeffrey Earnhardt finishes 11th. Jeb Burton 12th. Kyle Sieg in 13th. Joey Gase 14th. Jordan Anderson 15th. Garrett Smithley 16th. Josh Berry 17th. Brett Moffitt 18th. Sam Mayer 19th. And Kaz Grala rounds out the top 20. Sammy Smith in 21st, Chandler Smith 22nd, Austin Hill 23rd, Riley Herbst ends up 24th, Blaine Perkins 25th, Josh Williams 26, John Hunter Nemechek 20. Josh Williams 27, Jeremy Clements was 26, John Hunter Nemechek in 28th, Trevor Bayne 29th, and 30th was J.J. Yaley. Cesar Baccarella in 31st, Ryan Ellis 32nd, Kyle Weatherman finishes 33rd, Joe Graff Jr. 34th, Natalie Decker 35th, Brandon Jones 36th, Connor Mosack 37th, Alex Jeanette rounds out the 38-car field here tonight. 2 hours, 12 minutes, 13 seconds total time on the race. Average race speed of 129.2 miles per hour. And a wild race, to say the least, here tonight at Daytona. We'll have more action-packed racing tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup Series. Again, start time at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 6 cautions in tonight's race, 2 overtime finishes as we went past the scheduled distance by, it looks like 10 laps, 110 laps. The scheduled distance was 100. So we got an extra 25 miles of racing in tonight. And it was worth it considering how close that finish was between Allgaier and Creed. And closest on the season for any of the top 3 series. And we will see what tomorrow will bring in the regular season finale for the NASCAR Cup side of things. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't yet. Up to 103 likes on the stream. We'll stay live here for a few more minutes, get a couple more interviews in. Dave Burns is standing with Parker Kligerman.
When you tried some things, assess the day for us.
Yeah, I didn't, stage 1, I didn't execute that well. Tried some things, got shuffled out, then tried some more things, trying to just say, whatever, we can take a point or two or try and figure out how I could get back to the front. That didn't work, but everyone at Big Machine Racing, this brought us fast, Spike Light, cooler Chevy. Obviously putting ourselves in the top 5 late when put in position there. But the 7 was in the best position because the 2 didn't want to push me, the 11 didn't want to push me, and then I lined up on that last restart, or the last lap, and I got the 0-0 behind me, and I'm trying to back up to him, and he keeps backing up further, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Then I realized, wait a second, he's the 98's teammate. So he admitted afterwards he didn't want to push us, so we really had no help. And that's a tough way to go and try and take the lead. We still had a run off 4, it just didn't materialize. But proud of these guys. We had a car that was almost as fast as Xfinity 10G Internet, and another top 5, which we could keep clicking these off the next 2 weeks. We'll be fine to make ourselves in the playoffs. And if we do this in the playoffs, I'm feeling very confident about moving on round and round. But proud of this team. This is a big effort, for a single car team like this with no real teammates out there to find ourselves up front every one of these. I'm happy about that.
Well done. A lot to be proud of for a single car team. Ricky mentioned it. They're small, but they're mighty.
And there are very few cars that weren't involved in incidents tonight. 30 cars were involved in some type of incident in tonight's race.
Well, we talked at the start of this show, what was this race all about? Aggression was one thing, but also opportunity. And I know it wasn't a win for some of these drivers, but when you look at the final rundown, right? Parker Retzlaff finished 6th, Ryan Sieg 7th, Anthony Alfredo 8th, Greg Galding 9th, Jeffrey Earnhardt 11th, and that's what super speedway racing and drafted style racing does to these smaller teams, gives them an opportunity to be in the picture.
Yeah, so many times we see drivers have troubles and others not execute on it. Riley Herbst had mechanical failure. He finished 24th. The 2 guys that are racing him finished 2nd and 4th, and they gained the first amount of points in Creed, and Kligerman gained the 5th amount of points. So a good job of taking advantage of the problem with Herbst.
Yeah, the great thing about the Xfinity Series is, unlike the Cup guys, their final race of the regular season is tomorrow. The Xfinity cars, 2 more races, Darlington and Kansas, going to be full of action with these drivers with several scenarios going forward. Parker, the 98 car Herbst, it's going to be fun seeing who can settle that out. And maybe somebody comes from the backside of the field and wins one of these final races. You just never know.
And a great point you just brought up there. Allgaier.
105 likes now on the stream. Appreciate that, everybody. We got to our goal of 100 in the late going. Be sure to, again, hit that like button if you haven't done so yet, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Thanks for everybody that tuned in throughout the course of tonight's stream. We'll be back once again for tomorrow's coverage. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't wait to see you for that one. NASCAR Cup Series race in Daytona regular season finale. Have a good rest of your Friday night. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody.